Literally, I'm like, man, I'm deep in it. I'm like, $1,500 into the campaign. Don't close anything, and then like, boom, close 3 in a row. Right away, like 6K off the back. It's a numbers game, So as long as you're playing the numbers and you kind of know what you're doing, you just feed the machine,
Yeah. The problem is people try it one time or they don't do it long enough.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Born to Tint podcast with the Miller Brothers. I'm Ricky, and I'm glad to be here with my big brother, Josh.
How's it going, everybody? Today we had a fun conversation with George from Window Tint Everything. Came in out of California, had a really fun conversation. A lot of talk about flat glass. Check it out.
So you said you're out here training a guy. How long have you been training him for?
We just picked him up actually, so not too long. There's trying to, because I have an office over here, but it's new. So my sales manager, who used to be in LA, moved to over here. She works kind of remotely, and then we're like, might as well just open up a shop over here, So that's how that started. So we're picking up traction little by little, but it's just hard trying to like pick up guys and train them, if they're not experienced. Yeah, so that's what we're working on here.
What do you look for when you're trying to pick someone new up? Because we had a certain set of criteria that we kind of were going after. I guess it's always been the same, but we had a much broader or bigger funnel that we were going after, and now we've narrowed it down tremendously. So, like, what do you look for?
When new installs, it depends. If it's I'm starting green or if it's starting like a seasoned installer, it's kind of different the way my business model than normal. So, I do a lot of subcontractor work, so pay them by the square footage, just because I kind of inherited that, My uncle started the business around 30 years ago. So I took over 4 years ago. So kind of inherited his business model, but right now I'm kind of transitioning just because it's really hard to scale, with that model.
No, absolutely. And then I guess more specifically, when you are taking someone on that's green or new, like, I don't know, because you said you do both. See, like we used to do that. We used to have we'd put out a big net. If you are an experienced installer, I've got no problem sitting down talking with you. Still, the key things I'm still looking at is your attitude.
Yeah.
Are you willing to learn? Like, I'm fairly certain you said you've been in the industry a long time. If your uncle started 30 years ago, that our tinters are very stubborn and set in their ways.
Yeah.
And it's no, this is the way I was taught. This is the way I do it. And it's like, okay, I get that, but we keep having this problem over and over again. Why don't we try this out? And then you get that pushback. And for me, like, that's an instant turnoff to where we stopped. Like, I guess we still will take in someone who is an experienced tinter, but it is a rarity that they stick. And we just go from ground up now. I just want to know that you're willing to learn, you want to make money, and you're teachable. You have good attitude, you show up on time, you hit those key markers, you can know nothing about it. And I absolutely will bring you in. Yes, it'll take us longer to obviously get that person to, like, square footage installing. That's one of the main reasons why we stood this up. Is we're starting an academy, and let alone selfishly, it's for our own personal use of the company, to where I can actually put someone through here and take them through each section and then push it, make them go faster, or I can put them through a bunch of different scenarios in here instead of doing it on the job training.
No, that makes sense. It's a nice setup, like what you guys got going on here.
Yeah. No, we should be getting the first class going in about 4 weeks. 4 to 5 weeks. We already have 4 of the people picked out. We can find 2 more people. We're going to do the first class pretty much. Same thing I've seen like on your content when it comes to, and then on your page, the converting the auto to flat.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys.
That's first and foremost the first clientele that we're going after, is that because for the same reason that you stated in your videos, they know the nuances of film, of installing. If you can install on a curved piece of glass, I can get you to install on a flat piece of glass pretty easily. You know how to work with the film. You know
what dirt under the film looks like. Like you know how to touch.
Handling the film alone. It's just know how to freaking touch this stuff. But
that's one of the biggest things, is because usually whenever you get someone, first they're handling it like it's delicate flower, and like you can grab it, and then they get a little too aggressive with it, and then they find that happy medium and like, oh, okay, I get it now, and it also changes from brand. When you go from manufacturer to manufacturer.
You guys are Solar Guard over here, huh?
Yep. Nice. Solar Guard. That's our main. We're a 3M Prestige dealer too. But to be honest, I am whatever solves my problem.
Especially on commercial. Sometimes everything's in play, right?
Yeah, they spec out a lot through most of the time, which is kind of annoying. But because I'm a Lumar Vista dealer, so yeah, I'm not gonna. Yeah, we could get the 3M.
Yeah,
I shouldn't be saying that, but whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that used to be, I would say, the hard set line about what are we in 2000, about 15, 20 years ago. You were one dealer and one dealer only. 3M wouldn't open the doors to anybody, and it definitely seems like they've changed their model to. If you're buying a good amount of film, so if you're big enough, you have a lot more leverage against them. And then also, as long as you don't cross that threshold, if you get a lead from them, you make sure it goes to them. If they're providing you with the lead, if that lead is coming from their website, if we get a lead from SolarGuard, about majority of the time, about 100% of the time, we're only bringing those sample sheets and we're asking the questions. Now, if it is the very small case where it is a film that they don't have spec or they don't have a film to solve the problem, then we're going to open up to the other manufacturers, because I'm not going to lose a job just to try to force a film on you.
Yeah, if they want, we get Prestige 70. They want Prestige 70. I'm like, we got stuff that performs better, Prestige 70.
Oh yeah, same thing. Yeah, because we could. For us, it'd either be Prestige 70 or you go Highlight 70.
Yeah. It's funny, when I was in Texas, I wasn't a Prestige dealer. So before coming back here, I had a location in Texas right after getting out of the Army, but I was a Panorama dealer.
Okay.
So I had Highlight, and I would go up against Prestige dealers in the Dallas area all the time. And I actually even had one call me up one time because I busted out, and this was a residential, it wasn't a spec job. And he had shown them Prestige 50. And I came in and was like, oh, that's a good film. But then I showed him Highlight 40 and why it was better.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I could get that film if I want to and use it, because the parent company that I'm under, my family's business in Vegas, is a Prestige dealer. So if I wanted to get that film, I could get that film, but I would still use this film because it's better. And that guy ends up calling me after the customer told him that I said that, and just cursing, you can't get this film. It was hilarious. Yeah. But I don't know. That was just a weird case that kind of stood out to me. But now it's no big deal for us to have both.
That's what you guys opt to the Highlight, huh? Highlight?
It depends. Exterior Prestige right now we do a lot of exterior Prestige.
Yeah. V-Cool 70, you guys heard of it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Made by Eastman.
David Carley's come out. Or V-Cool.
Yeah, it's been out a long time.
Yeah. It's got 54% heat.
V-Cool is Eastman?
Yeah. Highlight 70 is 54.
No
54,
shit.
right there.
Yeah. Why didn't I know that? So they both outspec Prestige.
What, $6 a square foot?
Close.
Highlight, just right
close to that.
Last time I looked at the sheet, it's probably about.
Yeah, they're all right
and the
there.
40%'s 61.
Yeah.
Great films. Problem that we have out here right now, though, is most of the new homes have triple silver low E coating, so it's those films aren't going to do a whole lot.
Yeah.
That glass is already blocking the infrared.
You can put a dual reflective 40% on there, and you're going to get the same improvement, and you just saved your customer at least $10 to $15 a square foot. And then when you put it in front of them, what this film attacks is the infrared part of the spectrum. Your windows are already doing that. So anyone that comes in here and tries to push a ceramic or a spectroselective film on you, all they're trying to do is push an expensive product that really ain't going to do much for you. You're better off going either with a dark dual reflective, but if you just want to stay at that 40%.
Some people don't want that.
Yeah. So we've had a lot of people that want the spectrally selective. They want non-reflective, they want light. But as soon as I test the window and show them hey, this isn't really even going to do much, and it's more expensive. But if I go with a slate 30, which is a dual reflective 30% film, and then I show them a picture example of one window tinted next to another, and they go, oh, that's actually not that dark.
Yeah.
And most people will end up converting and going, okay, cool. And then you install it and they're super happy with it.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know, having the meter and actually testing, I feel just you're allowed to solve the problem better. And the customer appreciates it too. And in that scenario, you're kind of downselling yourself.
Yeah.
And you're able to put a piece of technology in front of them to where it doesn't seem like you're just going off of obviously you're trying to get them to earn your trust and you're building that chemistry with your customer. But beyond them just trusting you or trusting your reputation, it's here, I'm actually showing you exactly what type of glass you have to where, and then feeding them information to where if they even wanted to double back and say, go on Google real quick and go, okay, triple low E silver coatings just to kind of even get more detail in it, they're going to read through that and realize like, oh, he's downselling himself.
Except for
right
they're
now.
not going to Google, they're going to ChatGPT,
Oh,
and they're getting an even better answer.
Whatever, you know what I'm.
But
what I mean. Like you're introducing another tool to the sale that it's building more trust with the customer.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
You guys use any other sales tools?
he does almost. All
I
the sales.
typically, I'm trying to figure out what their problem is, right? So
Yeah, I mean that's the number one question. I'm like, what are you trying to solve?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what are
That's
you trying
like
to
the
do?
number
Yeah.
one thing I'm leading with. And then every question they have for me, something I've been trying to add in more and catch myself on, rather than immediately answering the question, ask questions about the question. Because now you're kind of making sure you're going to give them the right answer. Like, okay, you want heat rejection. Are you okay with it being dark? Like, no, I don't want it to be dark. I want that, so that like, oh, okay, do you care about having privacy during the day? Like, I'm going to try to get as much information out of them as humanly possible. So by the time I do show them a film, I've already narrowed it down to 2, maybe 3, but I always want to get it down to 2.
Yeah, no,
Like-
that's always what I tell like my salespeople. I'm like, really, there's only when it comes down to it, after them qualifying, there's 2 options. You know,
Yeah.
either they want this or this. You know?
More than that gets confusing, and you're putting extra friction in there.
Yeah, like one of the issues I have, like trying to grow, is like salespeople. You know, because it's such a big learning curve. You know, you have to know the industry. You know, like
Yeah, there's just
like
it's technical.
You know, like qualifying the customers and then be like, what kind of film to use? All right, we can't go dark on dual pane. We can't. You know, like that's like one of the growing pains that I'm going through right now is trying to train salespeople into kind of dialing them in. You know.
So I would say the best thing I would say, or the best tool to add to that, would be the glass check. Just because as soon as you know what type of glass you're working with, it automatically eliminates 70%.
Yeah,
And then asking and then getting the right questions asked to ask them darker. You want it darker or lighter? Are you looking for UV, fading protection, stuff like that, and just dialing those in like that right there is like. And then it's only you're left with a couple options past that. So it's almost like a checklist. Like, all right, what type of glass is it? All right, now these are available. Now ask these questions. What are their responses? They respond with this. All right, you can eliminate this one, this one, and this one. Now you're down to at least 3 options. Mm-hmm. And now say you even get down to the fact that you're just dual reflective is going to be the best option. Now it's walk through the house. Where are you willing to lose light? And then explaining to them, like, if you want more heat rejection, that means you're sacrificing light. Yeah. And it's where, like, living room, sacrifice light. Office, maybe you want a little bit more light in there. Mm-hmm. But then it also depends on which way your house is facing too. Is it facing south? You're catching sun all day. Probably a problem area. You might want to do something a little bit more heavier on that. But then it also just determines what room it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big one too. Is I'll always identify to the customer. I had one yesterday. They wanted the whole south side of their house done, but they put in this big, giant, nice patio that goes out really far, and those windows don't ever get direct sunlight. And like, I'm standing there in the middle of the day, I'm looking at the compass. I know that it's south. I can see that there's no time in day that these windows ever get direct sunlight. Like, do these windows ever get direct sunlight? No. What's your main goal? To hold out heat? Okay, well, I can't do anything there. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, that's the reason she had me out, was for that side of the house. But then once I explained that, like, the direct sunlight's the part that matters, tested the glass, let her know she had a good low E coating. So when it's 115 out, the windows are already doing basically all they can do if they're not in direct sunlight. Okay, well, let's check out my west side actually gets a lot of sun. That's my bedroom. So all of a sudden now I did a bid on the whole west side, draw that up. And she goes, you know what? The east side too. So then now it's the whole west side, whole east side of the house. And that isn't even what I was out there for. But like knowing to actually tell them that, and I know some people out there would be like, okay, cool. Yeah, let's measure those windows up and tint them. But then what happens is there's no difference. And that person's not happy with the choice they made because they're like, hey, this room's still hot. This film didn't do anything. Like, yeah, well, it's not going to.
Yeah.
And that is also the huge problem, a bigger problem with our industry is when that happens, because then that creates the negative notation that it doesn't do anything. Because then we'll even like, there'll be certain times that people will put like ceramic on windows out here and it does nothing but actually make the house hotter. To where it's like, I'm not feeling any difference. It's like, well, first off, we check the window. Well, you have triple OE silver windows. Like, that's already doing all, It's already doing all the work of what this film's going to do, and then you're putting absorbing film on the window. Yes, it is safe to be on this window, but all it's going to do is absorb heat and radiate more heat in instead of reflect everything out. So it's like we've gone out to a job where we've done that. The guy before sold him ceramic because it was the hot topic word. It's like, that's what I put on my car. It works so well. It's like completely different situation. And then we'll explain to him what happened. And then we've stripped and tinted the house. We put a dual reflective on there, like night and day difference. We're like, yep, because now we're attacking the other part of the heat spectrum. Actually going to get the heat rejection on it now instead of it just using a fancy film with a fancy name. Like I hate ceramic for the fact of what it's done.
The hard part is trying to explain customers that like a DR is better than a Spectra's like the film. You know? It's like for them to understand it. No, but this is way more. I'm like, but you know, it's reflecting it. It's not, you know. So
that's where I feel like it's made it easy for me to get into that conversation, and I try to explain it as simple as possible without getting too technical. Like, hey, let me test your glass and see exactly what you have, so that I can show you the best option for what you're telling me you want to do. And I look at it, I go, okay. So we do have these near clear, non-reflective films that are really good. They're actually our more expensive product. The low E coating you have on your glass is already doing the majority of what these films can do. And they're mainly blocking infrared. So this film, look, it's clear. I'll show them the sample. It's clear, it's non-reflective, but it still has 50% heat rejection. That's because the coatings in that film are just reflecting infrared, which accounts for about 50% of the heat coming from direct sunlight. So if you want to improve these windows, we have to reflect the other 50% that's not being touched. So we have to go with a film that's fully reflective. That way you're actually going to see a difference and feel a difference.
Well, and darker too. You have to lower the VLT. And let them know like that is part of the heat spectrum is visible light.
Well, that's where that extra percentage is coming from.
No,
right?
that's what I mean. Yeah.
So, and most people are like, oh, okay, that makes total sense. Like people aren't stupid. Like as long as you don't get too technical and try to explain what heat gain coefficient is, like that's going right over the top of somebody's head. But like break it down simple and be honest, and you'll be shocked like how many jobs you get just because of that. Now, so for training, that was what you were saying, training salespeople. This is where I think there's like a really cool synergy with the academy and trying to train better is I think traditionally, a lot of salespeople in the industry used to be installers, but it's hard to lose an installer to be a salesperson.
But you kind of have to know then, like
it really does help.
Like we're doing a job, you know. There's a freaking statue in the middle, like you know, like you have to know. You don't know that's an issue until you know, unless you're an installer. You know?
Yeah. So in my mind, at scale, I think we have to get to the point if we're really going to scale, that we're getting so much more efficient at training people and bringing them in that we can afford to have a seasoned installer become a manager of the department and then possibly become a salesperson, because having a salesperson that knows the ins and outs of how much harder this set of blinds are to take down rather than that set of blinds and all of those technical things.
But that's not going to change your price per square foot though. It's going to change your installation time and installation date, but that's what the manager's for, to look at your photos that you're taking.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though, is that's why like having that experience is definitely a huge edge. I feel like it's a huge edge for me for sure.
Well, it's a huge edge because you're able to speak with confidence to the customer. Like
you believe in what you're talking. You've installed.
But I charge more for difficulty. If it's a hard install, I'm charging more. You know?
Exactly.
Yes, I agree.
I mean, French panes that's a perfect example. I'm not charging normal square footage on French panes. I have to charge more because it's going to take.
I charge per pane.
Per pane on French panes on, and everything else is obviously per square foot. And I'd say right now we are between about 22 to 25 for a dual reflective.
On panes?
No, just on regular windows.
Oh, square footage?
Yeah.
No, we're.
Yeah, the whole thing. That's the one thing. That's like really in the last year, everybody's underpricing. Yeah. Everybody's underpricing. Everybody's so afraid to lose the bid.
25 right now.
Dang.
Yeah.
You guys have a lot of competition out here?
Yeah, there's a lot of shops out here.
Yeah, I just saw a couple of shops.
But everybody's been cutting each other's throats trying to win on price for too long. Yeah. And people will pay more because, especially if you have the brand and the reputation and like you're getting referrals. Like we've got a lot going for us. We've been here for 40 years, so we're able to do that because of how busy we are. Getting your social media dialed and doing this and having more clips going on social media. Dude, the amount of consultations we're scheduling a week, 2 years ago in the middle of the summer as an installer, I'd be looking at Tint Wiz and be like, 30 consultations scheduled this week. We're going to be busy this month. Like, and that was the thing I was always looking at. How many consultations got scheduled? And 30 was like this epic number. We scheduled 90 a week ago in April. Like, that's how many we're scheduling now. So like, that's how many leads are coming in, because so many people, I'm on these consultations every day. So many people are like, I'll ask them how they found us or how they knew they could tint their house. And I'll work it into the conversation somehow. And almost every time, like, I didn't even know I could do it. I was watching you guys Instagram.
Really? Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah.
So like that was the other reason to really go heavy on social media. Was I've been out as an installer seeing customers' response to us putting film on and then standing in front of it and going, wow, I wish I would have done this years ago. I didn't even think about tinting my house. And every installer's heard that. Like, and they've probably heard it repeatedly. Like, dang, I didn't even know I could do this, especially if you've done a lot of residential. And it's just like, to me, I see all the homes that aren't tinted and all the businesses that aren't tinted. And it's like, people think of window tint, they think of cars.
Yeah, it's such a big industry. Like, I do. You guys do graphics and stuff too, right?
Yeah.
Dude, like, it's like literally you walk down the street, like every freaking business could use,
Yeah.
our services. Like it's a big industry. So,
The opportunity is endless. There's
Yeah,
so much glass, we couldn't tint it all.
yeah.
Oh yeah, that's like main reason why we've had technical, what most people consider local competitors. We've sat down with them, talked with them. I mean, the door's open to anyone in the valley to sit down and talk. I don't look at them as competitors. We're in the same industry together. There's too much. Yeah, we might run into each other every once in a while on a bid. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll do our sales pitch. You do your sales pitch, and whoever the customer goes with, they go with. If not, we're on to the next one. There's too much glass in this valley. That's thankfully being in Vegas with the population we have, and then you being in LA, the population you guys have.
Yeah.
There's plenty of glass everywhere. I know some of the smaller markets, it's not like that here. It's like, okay, I get that. But in the big metro areas, there's too much glass to be worrying about your competition, what they're doing, and trying to. Because I used to be like that when I was when I say I was younger, when in my early 20s, I used to have the mindset of like, oh, we're gonna crush so and so, we're gonna beat them, and we're gonna do. And then that's like, as I got older, I realized like, why am I wasting my time even thinking about this? Like, I have too much stuff to just deal with, let alone at our own store, that I should just be focusing on making ourselves better, making myself better, and then just making our shop better. And that's the only thing that should matter. Is that by itself, it's. And then when circling back to the pricing, us also raising our pricing too is beforehand, like over the past, 6 years.
You guys recently raised the price?
About
For the last 2 years, we've just been like kind of testing it.
I mean, it's supply and demand. If you guys are getting, you guys could, at a higher price point, you could do lower volume and still make the same amount of money.
Well, that's the main reason why we started kind of raising our price, is that we were so busy and booked out like 3-4 weeks. We're at a point where it's like, we raised the price. We ended up hiring a business mentor about almost a year and a half ago. And that was one of the first things that we kind of sat down and went over. We went over all of our numbers, and then we went over our offer. And he's like, you guys need to raise your price, like, dramatically. Because the pricing that we were always accustomed to was like, my dad was the one who went out and did the sales. And even before that, when we were much smaller, when it was just my dad and like me, our auto manager, Brendan, my mom would work the front, and we had like one other employee. You really, there's not that much, there's overhead, but there's really not that much. Like, my dad got paid, but he wasn't getting paid for like the sales position. So when he stepped away from the company in 2020, it was like we had to bring on a complete new position that we've never had to pay before. We've never had an outside sales. And then about a year and a half ago, we ended up hiring 2 inside sales. We had an extra outside sales guy. So we had two on the out, 2 on the inside. And it's like, having that extra cost, it's like, your price, you gotta account for that. That all goes into your cogs of how you're gonna even come up with your price.
Yeah, that's I think the big problem is like how our dad started, and it's how most people are out there. If you're the salesperson and the installer and the admin, like, you can get away with charging a lot less because you're getting paid for all of it. And at the end of the day, that's like, it's just a lifestyle business that you're doing what you want to do and you're making what you want to make, but the business probably isn't actually kicking off a profit. But if you're actually trying to grow a business that's profitable and has any type of enterprise value, like scale it up, you have to factor in, okay, we've got to pay a salesperson this amount. We've got, our labor and our materials can't be any more than 33%. Like, so that should be your bottom. Like, if it's a big volume job and you're going to go lower than that, because on big volume we'll go lower than that, right?
Yeah,
Because
no, they won't get the.
but on small stuff, and the smaller, and that's the other thing is, I haven't been doing it as much, but we were even like on a scale of like, after it gets over so many square feet, I would drop it down a little bit per square foot.
Take a step down.
Yeah. But I still kind of do, but don't really have to. Like I can.
What's your guys' minimum? You guys have a minimum?
375 right now. But
Yeah, we got to raise it. But honestly, like we hardly ever hit it. Even most small jobs now, those are the ones that are for sure going to just stay at 25. It could just be a couple windows and it's still going to be way over 375.
No, like sometimes I'll get like, can you come tint my one window in Santa Monica? You know, it's like, I did one install, and these are the installs that none of my installers want to do. You know, they don't want to drive an hour and a half to do a 15-minute.
So that's the other thing we did is we made a minimum install for the guys. So even if they're going out to do 20 square feet, they're going to get 50. So all of a sudden, like even the worst job isn't like too horrible.
Oh, you go do one window, get 50
we
square
don't have
feet?
the drive time that you've got in
go.
LA. And we try to, because we're scheduling through Tint Wiz through the map, and we are a couple weeks out right now, we do a really good job at trying to keep stuff, if it's small, keep it close to each other. To where you finish these 2 windows, you got a 10-minute drive to the next one. And if you're going out with your patterns cut, everything ready to go.
Yeah, it's pre-cut everything here.
Yeah.
Oh.
So like that's what our Armando, our flat glass manager, that's what he does. So he was like our main installer. Now every day he makes sure, and he'll still go out and do installs and help the guys on stuff, but he'll cut everything for the next day, like today.
How do you guys do like the inventory? Like, do you guys use Tint Wiz? Because I don't have an inventory thing, but
it's great.
I haven't really utilized it.
That was the first feature we used on Tint Wiz. That's what got us to use it.
I saw you on your videos where you had the roller, the wood roller on the roll to pull it out to count the feet. I saw that, but way
way easier.
So much easier. Throw it on the weight, and it's usually within about a foot. It's usually as long as you have your core weights dialed in. It's spot on. So
it's simple. I even when we implemented it, it was during COVID. I brought my kids in to help me put the whole inventory in and made like video of it, just so that, like, okay, I need to get it done. This is something cool I could do with them, and it'll be cool content. And I'm going to post it on our socials. So now my guys can't complain that this is too hard to figure out how to do. My kids just did it. And then Eric with Tint Wiz took it and blasted it out as an ad all over the place and was like, dude, thank you. But it really is that simple. My kids helped set up our inventory. And then once a roll's in there, any Vista product or whatever, once you've put it in, and you put in the core weight, because you just need to know what the cores weigh. So you need empty cores of each size and weigh each size core and make a list of that. And we've got a list of what Solar Guard cores weigh compared to 3M cores, 36, all the different sizes, right? Mm-hmm. You just need to know those weights. Once you have those on a sheet, you just weigh the roll. And once you've put a 60-inch whatever product in, you can always, as you add a new one in, just drop down 60-inch by 100 feet. It has the weight, has the core weight, it has everything. All you got to do is enter in the new roll number, print out a label, stick it on the box, you're done. Nice. It's simple. Once it's set up, it's simple.
Which I could see it probably taking you a little bit, because I saw, at least I don't know if you, because I saw an older video when you're in your, I'm assuming you're in your smaller shop, that wall.
The wall of films. Moving that we threw away at least, I'm gonna say 200 boxes of film. You know,
we've done that recently.
We just did.
When we finished this,
we had. So when you've seen the back, you have that wall back there. We had one extra rack in here in the back there, and there was 3 on that side, 3 on this side, and then we had film stacked up on top of 3 of them. That was just like 3 or 4 feet of some decorative, or we'd have 3 or 4 feet of a certain roll, and then we had some older films that we sold back. Like 10, 15 years ago, some American
Standard stuff.
Mongo had like this Korean film, some decorative Korean films. He had like 40 different decorative rolls.
We still got an attic full of a bunch of B grade that my dad would like get offered like a crazy good deal on stuff, and he'd just be like, all right, send me a pallet.
So it was hard trying to, and he had boxes before Lumar was like more than something. And boxes are older than me, man. But yeah, we got rid of a lot, so cleaned up shop a little bit,
which is always a little painful to do. Yeah, that's why like we'd always clean it, we get it cleaned up, and then this last transition, because we just got everything repainted as we built this out, we remodeled the whole shop, And it was just out of point. I looked at him. I was like, dude, if it's something that it's been sitting on the shelf for like 3 or 4 years, either give it to somebody or throw it away.
Like, man, you got to get meat on this. But we've been sitting on it for like 3 years.
Yeah. It was, so it was funny. I did a whole night down here right before SEMA to like finish polishing off the shop. And we had moved all the film into that bay. And we had to go through a lot of it that we knew we weren't getting rid of was already put back. But a lot of it that needed to be gone through and seeing if any of it was worth keeping. I was down here for an entire night. I completely filled up 2 of our dumpsters that just luckily weren't full from the day of the whole unit. And I heard the trash truck show up at like 4 a.m. and empty them. And I still had a giant pile. And I like loaded up another van and filled a whole nother dumpster. Like it was something I didn't want to do, but it was just like, all right, like
it's gotta be
we're
done.
never going to use this. And it's taking up way too much shelf space. Like, and most of it was like 10 feet left on a roll of something that we're never going to use. So it was just like, whatever.
Yeah, or some B grade film that the likelihood of using it was like maybe someday, but for it just
maybe
to
there'll be
there,
a warehouse job. Like, but it's like, man, I don't even
I'll just buy
want to
the
use
film
that
again.
It'd be harder to install. Yeah.
I just to have everything cleaned up and organized, I'd rather just have that, and then I'll just deal with if I was like, damn, we got rid of that roll, we could have used it. And then we ran across a job or two that it was a certain roll of film I was looking for, and I was like, shit, we got rid of it. But like, what are you gonna do? If it's been there for a couple of years and you haven't touched it.
Now the only stuff that we have is in the inventory, because a lot of that stuff was like stuff that never even got inventoried because we were just like,
well, that's the thing. I have a bunch of stuff that it's never been inventory, so it's like starting inventory, going through it. Freaking, I don't know. We got at least now, even now, we still have at least, I would say at least 700 boxes. I don't know. You know,
what's cool is any of those boxes that are already like open. If you have a full roll of it, you put that in, and then just take the one that's already open, and you can put it in the system as a brand new roll of that, and then weigh it. Put the new weight in, and it'll tell you exactly what's left on it. The weighing it system is pretty spot on.
Yeah, I gotta try that.
It's nice.
Are you using Tint Wiz?
Yeah, we use Tint Wiz.
Use the inventory, man.
I started. We use it like with new stuff coming in, but we're not dialed in with it, you know.
Yeah.
So, but
everything when it gets pulled off the shelf gets checked out. They cut it. It gets reweighed, checked back in, put back in the box.
Tagged to the job, so you know what roll was used on that job.
So then you'll see, and then it tags the roll numbers to the job. So when you're doing warranty paperwork, it's already in Tint Wiz right there. Like,
and that took insane. It took us a bit to get dialed in with that. And
you guys are pretty like, as far as like your admin and stuff like that. Are you guys pretty like structure, like as far as like SOPs and like training materials and stuff like that, or are you kind of just
we're getting there now?
We kind of have to now, like that's like one issue that I'm having now is like I hire people and I don't have like training systems implemented, so like it just, you know, and they don't end up being good, but then it's like my fault because I didn't really give them the proper training, you know.
That was the biggest push behind it, was that right there is, how can I come down on somebody, or not even say like I want to even say I come down on someone for not doing something, but if it was something that they heard from me or they might have heard from someone else, if I can't verify that, like, did I have that conversation? Was I completely clear with my intent of what I wanted to get done? And did I give them reference material to go off of? If I can't be 100% certain on all of that, like, that's not their fault. That's my fault. So I can't get mad at them for that. Yeah. So that's now that we finally have gotten to the point of actually structuring out our business, because like that year and a half ago when we hired that business mentor, we finally sat down. We did what's that chart card? Org chart?
Yeah, basically.
Like
ownership of every different position.
Yeah, so like
a hierarchy.
Yeah.
Who has end ownership of this position or this task?
And we went through it, and it was like first time we went through it, like unfortunately my name was tagged like almost on everything. It was like CEO, and then it was like head of who was dealing with flat glass. Thankfully that had been ripped away. That was one less thing I was dealing with, but it's like chief operation officer, who was like, so like as we start going through that, we realized, okay, so what needs to be split up here? And then because my sister, she's in the background, she does all the fun stuff, the budgeting.
What do you guys have in the working the desk?
So that's where we also, at the time, we brought in, that was when we got pretty much shut in our face. You need another inside salesperson. So we hired a second inside salesperson. The person who was doing that became our bookkeeper, our accountant. is my wife's cousin. She started working for us in 2020. She was our whole front admin. She was answering phones, doing invoices, doing the sales. And then as we started scaling bigger and bigger, and we started getting more phone calls, it's like, all right, this isn't manageable. Like there is no way to manage this. So now all she does is she does our invoices, our warranties, and does our books. And that's the only job she has. And,
and then she also
does
like,
occasionally
she
answer the
fills
phone.
in on other stuff too, and
Yeah.
like she'll be back and forth with me on certain projects. And
well, yeah, but that has to do with getting paperwork and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's part of her job.
yeah.
My inside salespeople, all I want them doing is answering the phone, booking jobs for him, booking jobs for my auto guys. That's it. And then making and doing walk-in sales. That's the only thing I want them doing. And then she handles invoicing, warranties, all that stuff. You know, so when we finally actually sat down and like mapped it out and realized, okay, I was spread too thin in certain areas because like the main thing I need to be focusing on is training. I need to be training installers and I need to be training my salespeople up front because like you said, not knowing the nuances of what you're selling doesn't give them the confidence to actually convert the sale itself. So like I'll be up there and I'll hear them explain something to a customer and I'll let them finish. Like, you know, I'm not going to sit there and jump in mid-sentence because that just looks even worse. They'll finish doing what they're doing. And then after that, I'll pull them aside like, all right, so you said it like this. Say it like this, because how you just said it doesn't sound confident at all. And you weren't wrong on anything you said, but at the same time, that doesn't sound reassuring at all. Like if I got off that phone call, I'd be like, maybe I'm going to call around a little bit. And it's just slowly letting them have those experiences because I mean, even I bought for Mike Norg, I bought his sales script. It's called the Blueprint, and he does it's auto tint and PPF. And even coatings too, but we have yet to step into that market of the coatings. But like when I purchased it, it was exactly what I was kind of looking for. It was just, it ran through scenarios of questions like, all right, if they say this, all right, this is something you would reply with. And don't answer it like verbatim of what it says here, but this is the gist of what needs to be said or what you're trying to answer against that customer. So I was able to give them that. And then there's going to be certain situations where a customer is asking a question where I told them like, guys, if you don't know the answer, just tell them this. Hold on, let me put you on hold for 1 second. Let me grab my manager real quick. Let me run this by him. I think I know what the answer. Like, don't feed them bullshit if you don't know exactly what you're talking about. They are going to be completely understanding the fact, like, you know what? I think I know the answer, or not saying I think I know the answer, but like, hold on, I want to go verify something real quick. Give me 1 second and put it on hold. Or tell them you're going to call them right back and tell them you're going to get the answer for that question. Yeah. Being honest with them is going to go much further than trying to feed some nonsense to them, which they can just hop on Google or ChatGPT and just verify if you're full of shit or not.
No, for sure. That's like the one thing that like I tell, I'm like, if you know the answer, it's okay. You know, just, you know, schedule, call back. We'll call them back, answer all the questions, you know, my front desk. Because sometimes people will get technical, you know, and they really want to get technical. And my front desk isn't trained to be super technical. They just know the basic questions. But yeah, I'm like, anything you get stuck on, it's okay. Just, you're like, let me have somebody give you a call right back and they'll answer all your questions, you know?
Yep. Get enough detailed information from them. Get the, from like, what I'll tell them is like, if it comes with the car, I need year, make, model, what they're trying to do. Like, I need to know these basic questions. Give me these basic answers and I'll be able to answer the question for them. Because yeah, or they'll tap me or they'll come over and ask me like, hey, this person has a question. Can you hop on the phone real quick? And then I'll hop on the phone and it's just like, they've already got it completely teed up and set up. And then I step onto the phone, answer the question. And that usually will end up closing the project out, which is nice. But yeah, no, that is definitely the hardest part, or has been the hardest part of scaling, is because we've never had SOPs. We've never had like a training manual or an actual training. We've had training processes, but it hasn't really laid out, even when it comes to installers. Like now, the thing that we're doing now is for our installers. We used to be time on job, or time spent would earn or get you to the point of being able to earn more per square foot. Also, along with obviously,
so you guys pay square footage or hourly?
Yeah, square footage. Square footage in flat glass. We do. It's pretty much commission based in auto. It's flag hours. So like if I have a 4-door car in ceramic, they get paid 4 hours for that car no matter what. Okay. And it don't take you 4 hours to tint that car. It'd probably take you an hour if you're a seasoned installer, an hour from start to finish to tint a 4-door car without a windshield. With the windshield, throw another 30, 45 minutes on there, which
it's
with
another 2 hours,
two
right?
and a half.
Yeah.
Another 2.5 hours. So you can get 6.5 hours for a single car, because my price point allows me to do that. And then it allows you to stack your hours for the day. So you make what you want to make. Like, how much do you want to get done today? How fast do you want to get? How efficient do you want to get? But even with the auto, we're going to be doing the same thing, to where it's all going to be performance based. To where if I bring you on, I'm going to teach you.
That's funny. I'm trying to get away from the performance based right now, you know, just because
hard to do in this industry.
Yeah, I know. Like I'm trying to transition out of performance based just because like the square footage guys, they just kill me, man. Like, oh, I don't want to go do 60 square feet over here. I don't want to go do 100 square feet over here. You know, it's just after a while, especially I got a lot of older guys who've been tinting forever. You know, like longer than I've been. One of the guys longer than I've been alive. You know, so so it's hard to kind of like you end up being at the mercy of your installers, you know, and that's what I'm kind of not going through right now. But like, it just sucks when you have 6 jobs, you hit them up because my subs work for me and only for me, most of them. But I still have to hit them up. Hey, can you come do this job tomorrow? Hey, can you come do this? It's just that's what I'm trying to get away from because like next week, I said we have all right 6 jobs. There's some days we have like four jobs in the same day, so we have to kind of use all the installers because I have. For the most part, four crews that work together. Just having to like follow up, be like, hey, are you good to do this job tomorrow? Yeah, I'm good. All right, cool. Rather than having somebody on standby, be like, I know he's gonna be here next week on Thursday, and I can lock him in for that positions. So that's just what I don't like about the performance space. So I'm trying to go more towards the hourly, but you're not gonna like what I'm figuring out is you're not really gonna unless I get somebody from completely green and bring them all the way up. I won't be able to do that.
So when we're training someone, we start them hourly, and then they transition once and that's like the new thing we're doing with this is, after the guys that we currently have, because it's not kind of how we were training them or what we talked about doing with them, because we've got one more right now that's like on the edge of going to it.
He already is as of 2 weeks ago.
Oh, so cool.
You're behind the curve, my friend.
All right, so never mind. But basically, from here on out, they're going to come in and know that part of making it to that commission standard is they're basically going to have to test out in here and tint all of this section.
So you guys make it like that's like your graduation, you get paid square footage kind of deal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Start off as hourly as you're being trained. And then when you switch to commission, it's $1 square foot. And you have the capability of getting up to $2 a square foot for solar and $2.25 for safety film. And then how we're going to grade that jump, it'll go from $1, quarter, $1.50, quarter increments is going to be whenever you feel like you're up to it, you have to tint all the windows in here. And then each pay grade is going to be on time. So like I'm thinking about 3.5 hours because it's between all of these is about 22 panes. So if you can do it in 3.5 hours and there isn't anything in the windows that's going to make me because I'm going to observe it as a customer. If I look at it and say, I have to come back, I have to send someone back out, you've now failed. And now you can't retest for another 90 days. Okay. To where it's like, you're not going to get, like, don't think that you're going to, I'm going to test today, I'm going to test tomorrow. Like, no, it's not how it's going to work. But if you're confident, you think you want to go for it. And even if you want to say you're at that $1 and you're like, hey, I think I can do that in the 4 hours and I can jump the $1, quarter, $1.50. Sure, go ahead. But just remember, if you take that chance and you don't pass, then you have to wait 90 days to retest again. To where like even getting out of hourly to commission, like it used to be like it'd take like 6 months to where we'd feel like, all right, we feel like you're ready to go to commission, then we'll switch you. Now it's if I teach you for 2 weeks and you pick it up that quick and you're like, hey, I want to test, I can do this in 4.5 hours. Because I think that's going to be like the minimum time, about 4.5 hours to do 22.
So the plan is he's going to do it, I'm going to do it, and Armando's going to do it. We're going to record the whole thing. Kind of dissect
slow, medium, fast.
So we're gonna dissect it like section by section and see like okay.
Do you guys train on like attachment systems or no? Or do you guys kind of push that out?
No,
we do it in house.
Yeah, we'll train our guys. But I want to still send some of my guys to Chuck Cochran's class because I know he's amazing.
Do you guys get really like picky with the attachment systems?
Oh yeah,
I've getting really some customers recently that just they want factory finish. I'm like, man.
There is obviously an acceptable standard
for residential.
As long as the salesperson does his job and explains what it's going to look like, then you shouldn't have to worry about it. So as long as that standard is set when you're making the sale, letting them know like
commercial's different than residential.
Yeah, commercial is like commercial. They don't care. That's what I like about commercial.
You can get away with a lot.
So residential though, like for the longest time, I was doing a lot of the attachments myself. Our guys have gotten really good now though. Yep. But like, I think I probably set a really, really high standard of like, this is what's acceptable. So they know what it is.
Nice.
If you're into someone's house, I mean, it's gotta look as semi close to a factory as possible. But as long as you are doing finishing things,
you charging enough and paying them enough that it makes sense?
Yeah.
Right. Cause it's time consuming. Right. And if you're going to do it
A good job.
a good job,
it's
it's going to be
take you a
really
while.
time consuming, right? Because I can, especially on like a commercial window, I can gun it without taping and tooling it, and it's going to look pretty good. It took me a while to get good at that.
Nice.
But it's still not going to look as good as if I take the time to tape it and tool it. That's why we want to go to Chuck's class, because his tools and how he does it, watching him do it
Where's
at
his
dinner
class
battles.
at?
He holds it in Florida.
But watching him do it, and I know people that have been to his course and said that they thought they were good, and then they did that, and like it's night and day different.
Yeah,
but
that's
like,
that's his thing. Just
yeah.
straight like.
yeah, he does. I mean, he's booked out like a year right now on just like giant security film jobs. Which, yeah.
Yeah, no, the taping tool he made is awesome. It automatically will space it out, and you can go from like a 3/8 to a half
Oh,
inch.
I've seen it. Yeah, they came to because I think he came to we do the EDC area, the Eastman.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
He showed it
he
at
came
the
out with the
Tinner.
tools. He had a bunch of tools. And
He
stuff
showed
like
it
that.
at Tinner battles, and I was like, "Oh, that is badass. We gotta get on that." Because right now we're not using that to tape, so it takes a lot longer. That thing, when you get good at it, you can tape a whole commercial window, interior, exterior, in like 5-6 minutes.
Oh,
Done.
less than that
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah. It's really, really fast. Like, and that's the whole job in my mind. If you're taping and
Yeah.
tooling, the tape takes all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
But if you can cut that down drastically, that's huge.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But yeah, no, we'll teach our guys. I mean, at first we were doing it, we were using our fingers to smooth it out, and then we moved to trowel tools, and then we had hand pump guns, then we got the electric guns. So we've slowly upgraded ourselves through the time that we've started doing it, because we weren't doing too much safety film. I would say like 2015, 16, it really wasn't like a hot topic thing. And actually 2016 is when
That's
it
what
got
I was about to say. That's about when it started.
that's when it. So before that time period,
Yeah.
it was like hit and miss us doing safety film, and then pretty much as soon as Trump got elected, everyone wanted safety film. I mean, I'm not saying one has to deal with the other, but all of a sudden the whole world thought it was going to be lit on fire, and then our safety film went through the went through the roof, and then that only like quadrupled when COVID happened. Like everybody, like we were getting phone as soon as everything got shut down. First thing my dad did was find out if we were essential, which we found out we were, because we have an automotive business license for automotive repair. So that means our shop could stay open, because technically we are marked as a repair shop, which makes zero sense to me. But we took it and said, okay. And then also home improvement and security. That was the big thing we kind of leaned on was, all right, we'll do security jobs. And that's what we really pushed on for the first couple of weeks, as everyone was trying to figure out what the hell was going on. So, and then everybody was calling.
We got lucky too. We ended up just right when everything started to get locked down. We were already just got into a big project in a really nice neighborhood out here. And that homeowner was amazing and got us like 7 of his neighbors. So we ended up spending like 3 weeks.
I mean, you did a good job, man. It spreads fast,
Yeah.
That's the fastest way to grow a business. Just do good work,
Yeah, yeah, that's huge. That's something that's never left from our dad. Like still at this point, with as much as we spend on marketing and all of everything we're doing, we still have about 50% of our business is either repeat or referral.
Yep.
So seeing those numbers is like always great, because it gives you confidence even when you're spending money on marketing. Like every customer we get has the potential to get us 2 more. So that's huge. Like, so we definitely have a great loyal customer base. We have people that are on like their 15th, 20th car, multiple houses.
Dang.
Like, yeah. So like, that's one thing that's not lost on me. Like we've got something special that we can adding more of a business end to it, and like getting more professional and learning how to become profitable and all that stuff on top of the brand we have. I mean, we've been in this building since 92.
Dang.
Yeah. So, and this isn't a big town. I mean, it's like 3 million people now, which is, I think when our parents moved out here, it was like 1 million.
If that.
Yeah, it was like maybe at 1 million.
Yeah.
So it's like especially here in Henderson.
So what are some of the issues that you guys face, like kind of scale the company?
I mean, the biggest issue we faced was not having proper system set up.
Yeah.
To scale. I mean, like we were operating just fine, but it was things slipping through the cracks. I mean, small little things that if you implement just small standard operations, it cleaned up. I mean, communication was a big thing. Implementing Tint Wiz, that helped us tremendously.
That kind of forced us into some systems and processes, right? Like even just using tasking.
Well, my uncle did have Tint Wiz on it, but he would do everything old school, man. He would go. He still has, when I sent him for estimates, his pen and paper with his little estimate sheets,
Yeah, see that we welcome that with anyone else that we walk into a bid against, because by the time, unfortunately, unless someone like my dad would be the person, he would sit there, do the numbers and close right and try to close right then. But we'll go up against bids now where the person will be like, all right, well, by the end of the day, we'll get you an estimate. It's like by the time he's done, he sends over a complete digital proposal as he's talking to you, and the price is right there. And all the customers say yes.
Oh, you send the proposal while you're there, huh?
I literally, as I'm building it out, this is the thing that I think people most underutilize with that. And you can get fast at it if you just do it in the right order. Like as I'm taking measurements, the first thing I do is take a picture. Let it upload as I'm taking the measurement.
You're the main sales guy here? Or you do the majority of the estimates?
Yeah.
He's everything right now.
Right now, we had another outside salesperson, but so like, yeah, I've been doing like 7 days a week. Like my kids will have like track event Saturday morning. So I'll be blocked off for Saturday morning, and then I'll do Saturday evening. And then Sunday, I'll do Sunday evening. And then pretty much every day of the week right now, just because there's so many coming in. And it's growing up in this industry, get it when you can get it.
Yeah,
and like,
sure.
So that's kind of all I've been doing recently. Right now we're trying to hire someone to train. That's the other thing when you're talking about training salespeople. So right now we're trying to hire someone that they're initially going to start out kind of the same kind of apprentice type of model that we're doing with installers, structured a little different, but basically they're going to come with me and they're going to drive. I'm going to be able to like get stuff done in the car in between consultations. And we already did this with the last person. They're going to come on every sales call with me for months and get to see all the different types of options that you could give.
At that point, you have no option to learn.
Yeah. And what's cool is when we did it last time is it's going to make it to where I can get way more consultations done in a day, because not only can I respond to customers, put fires out, do all the things I need to do that I typically can't do while I'm driving, unless I'm on my phone while I'm driving, which I'm trying not to do. Especially when we're trying to squeeze in like 13, 14 consultations in a day.
Man, we can't do that. We got, you have an hour drive to another.
Yeah, so that's where this town's great. And we're, again, because we're booking out right now, which isn't ideal because we're to the point now that we're getting a couple cancellations here or there, because it's like a week and a half, 2 weeks to get a proposal kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But they'll schedule it to where I might have 3 consultations within 5 minutes of each other.
Okay.
And it's like boom, boom, boom. Now all of a sudden I'm ahead of schedule and I'm contacting in the 11 o'clock at 10 o'clock saying, hey, can I come early? So it's like, we've got it scheduled in a way now and then I'll have the occasional where they say, and they're even pre-qualifying and putting what they're looking for into the notes of Tint Wiz, how many windows approximately. I'll have the occasional where they squeeze it in somewhere because it's close. And they say it's 3 windows, and then the person has me give a bid on like
their whole house,
$3 million mansion, and it's like now I'm behind. But we give everybody a window, and I'm able to like contact the next person and let them know like, hey, my current consultation's running a little long, bigger than expected. I'm looking at getting there. Say it's at 12 o'clock. I'm looking at getting there at like 12:45, and I'll let them know ahead of time. And they've already been given a 2-hour window, so like 99.9% of the time, everybody's super cool with that. Occasionally you get someone that like didn't hear or see all the reminders that there was a window.
So you're there, the proposal's already out.
So yeah, I literally, I go over their options with them. Okay, cool, 1 sec. And we've got canned proposals already built out for most options, and click the canned proposal, select the rooms. Some of them are really simple and everything's the same shade of film. It can be done really quick. All the images have just recently been uploaded. So now I can just hit attach, select all the images for whichever section they're going in. Sometimes it's like 6 solutions. Sometimes it's 1, but I'll add the images of what windows are being done into the solution. Examples of what the film looks like that we've taken of all the different films, with one window tinted right next to another window, looking out and looking in, so they can see what it's going to look like looking out compared to nothing, and how private it's going to be or how dark it's going to be. And I have that right in front of their face immediately before I leave. And sometimes it only takes 20, 30 minutes if it's not like crazy. And now here it is. Hey, I'm going to send this to you right now. I can approve this right now for you and schedule it. Otherwise, if you approve it, the office is going to contact you, schedule. They're going to send an invoice. You can make the deposit through the invoice. Like, a lot of times people will be like, yeah, no, I want to get it in. And then that allows me the ability, like right now we've got an opening all of a sudden Friday. Like, I just told you it's 2 to 4 weeks out. We just had something rescheduled. I can get you in Friday. Hell yeah, let's go.
Yeah. And then also you have to tell them too, like when you tell me 2 to 4 weeks out, it's pretty much not saying, hey, if you don't approve it now, but pretty much let them know, like, I'm going on other consultations. And pretty much whoever approves first gets the soonest appointment. So you could be 2 weeks from now. If you wait 3 or 4 days, it could be 4 weeks.
That's one thing I always, right now too, leading into the summer, I always let them know to like add a little bit of scarcity, but I'm also just being honest. Like right now, we're about 2 to 4 weeks out. It's April. Like come May, June, it might be 4 to 6. So if you're doing this for heat, like just want to warn you ahead of time. Like, so now there's a little bit of urgency behind it. And it's true because that's what's about to happen unless we magically sprout 4 more tinners.
We already have.
Well, actually,
I'm still waiting for you to catch up, man. You're behind right now, Mr.
So
get me the
we
installers.
did just luckily get an amazing installer subbing for us quite a bit that got us caught up to where we're not 2 weeks out. We're about a week right now.
Nice.
And there are a couple slots available for him this week. But our full-time guys are still booked out for them.
Yeah. So like our train of thought is we want to at least be booked out a week for our guys. And as soon as we're booked out about a week for our guys, then I find out which subcontractors that we've used in the past on other big scale jobs. And I've already talked to a couple of one of our other guys, and I asked him because I never really asked him because a lot of times if I'm bringing someone in, especially if they're coming from out of state, I'm trying to make sure that it's an either decently sized project, like 1,000 square feet, or a couple, at least over 500-600 square feet, and commercial settings usually better too. It's repeating windows. But I asked both of them, do you guys mind to do residential? And they cost me a little bit more, but at the same time, I also look at it in this aspect of what we're charging right now allows us to get it, bring them in for that little extra cost. So now I can get my customer's house done now and not tell them, hey, we can't do it for 4 weeks, which most people would be like, okay, but it's like within, if I was going to be brutally honest, I could save you a couple $100 if you wait for 4 weeks, or if it's a couple $100 more, I can get it done for you this week. A lot of people are going to say, oh, let's get it done this week. Yeah. And then also because they are subcontractors, they don't come with the other things that, business owners don't realize until you start scaling is
payroll tax,
insurance, all the other fun stuff that increases across the board as soon as you add them to payroll, to where it's like they want a subcontract, they want 1099. Awesome. That is, I've got, because then I have extreme loyalty to my subcontractors, but at the same time, they understand that my guys are going to eat first. I'm going to make sure that my guys are always taken care of because they're on my staff and they're here year round. So if things were to ever slow down, obviously I'm not going to be reaching out. So when I reach out, I'm going to offer you stuff, but I can't guarantee that I'm going to get you work all year long. But I know I can tell you this right now in the summertime, tell me what days you want to work. And I can almost guarantee I'll have work on those days. It'll happen. And then when wintertime comes, my guys are, I don't want to get my crew too big internally. To where when winter comes and then everyone struggles.
It's kind of like what you were saying earlier. Having subs is good. That's one of the things talking to our business mentor that I've already noticed and identified in the industry. Anybody who's gotten really big in this industry and is actually turning a profit, they use a lot of subcontractors. And then when you start digging into the numbers of it, you realize why. Payroll tax, all these other things that as you start adding people onto payroll, those. Now you kind of have to start charging more.
Spending an extra $30,000 a year on paying federal tax for all the extra employees you have. In the grand scheme of things, say if you're doing over 2.5 to 2.6 million a year, it's $30,000, but that's still $30,000 of profit. To where you want it to go to the government, or do you want it to stay in your pocket? I'd rather it stay in my pocket.
And then for the installer too, they get all their money up front. Now they're just responsible for paying their taxes, right? And now they have the opportunity to, take that to their advantage too. They're a business, right? So they can write off their travel, all of that stuff.
Do you guys have any one of your installers messes up with your protocol there?
We are extremely lenient, I would say, compared to most shops that I've talked to. As long as it is just a screw up, I'd rather just you take the film off, replace it. I'm not going to hound you about it. Now, if you are blatantly rushing a job and I have to go replace an entire job because...
Do you make them go back, or you go kind of touch it up?
It depends on if they want to lose the money for that job or not.
Okay.
So if I have to send someone else, if one of my other installers got to go replace the window that they didn't tint, that square footage goes to that installer. Okay. The other person loses their square footage. And that's kind of the intent, or there's much of self-punishment I put out there. Now, with our higher end films... majority of the time, I'm not going to put an installer on that window that I know is going to either struggle or might not get the window done. So we really haven't had too much issues. They know if they're working with Prestige or Highlight, You know, if it's a big enough window, you guys are working with a $200-$300 piece in your hand.
Yeah.
Take your time. And then that's also up to us to make sure we schedule it correctly, put enough people on the job to make sure they're not rushing through it. So, and I've always told my guys too, like, if you're not going to finish in the day because say the windows are the silicone's kicking your ass or it's not your day or whatever it is, do not rush the job. I would rather call a customer and let them know we got to come back, and I'll deal with the heat from the customer going, hey, you said it was going to be done in a day. It's not a day. I'd rather let them know, like, hey, we ran into a couple of issues. We don't rush our work. Quality means everything to us. I'm sorry, we have to come back.
That doesn't happen very often.
I know, but that sounds a lot better than if you rush a job and then all of a sudden now the customer calls me the next day and goes, what's all this stuff here? Now I've lost the trust of my customer. I still have to go back and take care of it anyway. Now I'm scraping film off a window instead of just pulling a piece off the window, putting a new piece on. You're adding so much more extra to it. Now, something like that our guys they really don't necessarily even do that because they know better, because we've already told them, like, you do something like that, there's going to be implications of you're going to have to start paying for film. But for the most part, if you are full time, I'm not going to put you in a position to where I'm going to hound you over a sheet of film here and there. Now, if you all of a sudden blow through half a box of film on a job that you should have used, 100 square feet, there's going to be some questions. And again, that still comes down to me, failed leadership of me sending them on a job that they weren't ready for.
Yeah.
So,
and they know too, like, they know if they come across something that they're struggling with, like, give somebody a call. Maybe like it's happened multiple times where, like, hey, this one's a struggle for me. I think maybe Armando should do it. And then we figure out how to make it happen. Right. That's been a big thing though. Like, the having him in there taking over scheduling. So if I don't close it and schedule it on site, he's doing all the scheduling. So you've got a seasoned installer that has it in Tint Wiz with pictures, with notes. He knows what they're going up against. So he knows who he can schedule on what and what he needs to go help on. Yep. But that was another seat that he got taken out of, because like now he doesn't have to deal with scheduling that at all. So that's been like the reorganization piece, is like, all right, what pieces can we move people into that make sense, that just kind of help the entire system work better?
Yeah. And then also developing the standard operations of how, I mean, even with Tint Wiz, so we still use Tint Wiz for our operation side of the business. About 4 or 5 months ago, we ended up setting up Go High Level for our sales.
You use the AI feature or no?
Not yet.
Bro, game changer.
I see. Like, I'm still getting to the point of setting my stages up.
Responses.
It's called Conversation AI.
Yeah.
So I have it like right now. If you text my shop, the AI automatically prices you out. You just and the programming is not hard. It's just like a prompt, just like ChatGPT. But there has been issues with it. Like, for example, yesterday booked 2 cars. Nobody was in there to do the cars, So it puts people on the calendar. But now I'm gonna, because I've been playing with it. It's not bad then, but it's crazy.
Yeah, I think
that's coming. There's something in the works with one of the people that we're partnering with, that they're actually developing bots to hunt our qualified leads. So if phone rings and it makes through 3-4 rings, it'll automatically get picked up by the AI.
Do all that to Go High Level.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
that's what they're going to implement.
Well, that's what it's going to be implemented through. Yeah. But for right now, my biggest thing is unless a customer requests a digital quote and they don't want to talk on the phone, I won't send it. I want my people on the phone. Like, get them on the phone, close them.
Yeah.
Like, don't, because we used to just send the proposals off, and yes, we would get approvals. But at the same time, when you're sending out a Tint Wiz proposal, I mean, even with us, I mean, it goes out and it really explains in the top intro, like, hey, this is a menu style pricing, to where, it lists all of our auto tint, good, better, best. And then we also put our paint protection in there, just to let you know, hey, we also do this too, because some people scroll down and be like, oh, didn't know you did that. I want to get my tint and my paint protection done. Now we just turned a $500 car into a $2,800 car, to where I want them to get on the phone and let them know the differences between the films, because even with even the Solstice, when someone comes in, the last thing I want is someone to approve the good film, and then you then come in and us explain, all right, hey, feel this heat difference. Oh, you guys just bait and switch me. It's like, no. Unfortunately, we couldn't get you on the phone, and you just automatically jumped to the first option and didn't read through everything. There's not much I can do about that.
What's really cool that I've seen, and I think this is the way everything will go, is using AI like that. I've seen a demo of one recently that was just that. It was literally, they put out a video of their software being used to qualify somebody to be sold on their product, basically. And the guy's like, "You're AI?" Like, because he wants to implement this in his business. And the whole conversation they have, it's like asking all the correct questions. And now it's generating a report for that scheduled sales call that you've had all the important questions answered, and the salesperson, when they do get on the call, is going to know everything this person's looking for ahead of time and be so much more prepared for that call.
No, yeah, for the qualifier, it definitely works, especially because like when I do Facebook ads, I get a lot of volume, you know, and just going through all of them, sometimes they're dead leads, you know. So, but it does a good job of starting the conversation. Then I go in there like, are they responding? Because it responds to the text messages. So then from there, like I'll pick up the conversation or give them a call from there. But yeah, the Facebook leads aren't the greatest sometimes. So
no, definitely.
And like I think pulling like 90 leads in a week, you know, like to have my front desk try to call all 90 people is not realistic, you know, or try to keep up with all 90 people in the conversations, you know, that's a lot of work for somebody to do, you know.
No, that's the same problem we're having right now too. Yeah. We are
well, right now. It's a lever to pull on too, though. If you dial it in, it's just extra margin, you know, you're going to get as you dial it in.
No, absolutely. But at the same time, you don't want to spend money for no reason.
That's one thing. I'm like, all right, I have a bunch of leads now, but now I need to kind of just work on maximizing the leads I do have, you know, because,
exactly.
You know, so I'm so focused. Like that was my main, like the past few months, I just been so focused on leads. I'm like, well, I'm looking at my closing rate and, you know, what we're doing. I'm like, man, we're letting so many things slip through the cracks, you know, if I just, you know, just chill out for a little bit and not focus on the leads so much and more on like being efficient in the office and doing my follow-ups and can bring my closing rate, you know, that alone makes up, you know.
Have you found a marketing agency that you're working with now? Or are you still doing it by yourself? Because like I said, I've run through a good amount of your content. I've gone through
so many agencies, man. Like it's just, I've gone through a lot of agencies. So I kind of just learned to kind of do everything myself now, you know.
Well, if you do want to look into one other one, Rewired, Eric Pendleton. We ran into him about a year ago.
Longer than that. Me and him were talking for a while, but we started using him a little over a year ago because we were the same thing. The previous company we were using, and it was no fault of theirs. It was our fault too. We got complacent. I feel like they got complacent, and then it kind of just got to a certain point where it's, you know, when we started looking for new ones, we came across Rewired and started working with them. And now we know what kind of things we're kind of keeping our eye on and where we want to go with it. And just because I would say we could do it in-house, but now it's like, all right, I got to bring someone else into that seat, or I got to take myself out of a seat.
It's such an important role, you know? And
absolutely.
You know, like,
and they're professionals at it, man.
Yeah,
like,
so it's just like the agents I do bring, like after they're good in the beginning, and then after a few months, you're just like another account to them, you know? And it's just, like you ask them. Like for me, I geek out on like the marketing stuff, you know? I like looking at like how much each conversion costs and what is the conversion and, you know, what's my acquisition cost per customer, stuff like that. So I like to go really into the numbers when it comes to, because my background is I went to school for business administration. I was accounting, and then I was going to the CPA route, dropped the CPA, and then kind of started a jiu-jitsu school. But that's a whole nother story. But
that was something I wanted to get to eventually.
Yes, but yeah. So I geek out on like the whole marketing numbers and, you know, just bring my customer costs down, because those numbers are important. You know,
absolutely.
You gotta know how much you're spending per lead. You know, and then, you know, like what your closing ratio is. So if I'm spending $30 a lead, I close 1 out of 10. All right, I'm spending like $300 per person. That's okay. You know, that's the way I look at it. Anytime and the one thing is that a lot of people nowadays, they're just so scared to spend money on marketing, you know? And it's like the number one thing I hear, because now I get a lot more DMs now, you know? On Instagram, I'm picking up a little bit of traction. So people ask me like, oh, what kind of marketing do you use? I'm like, what are you doing? They're like, nothing.
I'm like, well, there you go.
You know?
Well, that's for sure going to give you nothing.
Well, yeah. And then like the number one thing is like, I don't have money for marketing. I'm like, bro, like, I don't think you get how it works, you know. Like, you have to spend money to make money. You know,
how I look at it is like the numbers you were just saying. Okay, is it costing me right now $300 to get a closed deal? Yeah. What's our average? What's our average ticket right now? Okay, so you're telling me, let's say it's $300. My average ticket's $25. Like, so for every $300
Yeah.
I put in here,
Yeah, exactly.
2,500 comes out the other
Exactly.
side.
Yeah, that's what
Like if that number holds,
yeah.
and I'm getting 50% referrals and repeat customers,
Dude, there's been
like on the back end of that, like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like, how would you not be shoving money into that machine?
yeah, and there's campaigns that I've ran that like they literally, I'm like, man, I'm deep in it. I'm like, $1,500 into the campaign. I don't close anything, and then like boom, close 3 in a row. Right away, like 6K off the back. Like it's
Yeah.
just it's a numbers game. So as long as you're playing the numbers and you kind of know what you're doing, you just feed the machine.
Yeah.
The problem is people try it one time or they don't do it long enough.
Well, yeah, and what I tell people is like you have to spend money to learn how to market for your system, and then once you do learn that strategy, it pays for everything you spent, and because once you dial it in, you're good, man. It's like like you said, a machine. You just feed it the money, so I think the hard part people have is like spending the money to kind of buy the data and trying to get there, because people quit like right before it pops off. Like if I would have quit on some of my campaigns, I would have just lost
Ate
my
the money.
$1,500.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't work. I spent $1,500 and I didn't get anything back. So yeah, you for sure have to spend money to make money. Because that's how it works.
Yeah, no, we're even further down the rabbit hole now. We're looking at the fact that we're looking at our ROAS, what each one of our paid ads is actually costing us. What's the return on that ad?
Yeah.
Because like you said, half of our business right now is return customers. So yes, if we just do the straight math across the board, we know if we put this amount of money in, we're getting this in return. Now let's go even deeper. We're putting this much money in. How much is that actually getting us in the fact of the customers that are new customers? Because the return customers, we've already paid for that cost and then some over and over again. I'm going to reap the benefits of those guys. I don't want to overspend when I know at least half my business is coming from there. But then you don't want to get too dialed into where you reduce it and now you're affecting the machine down the road. So now it's just like you're walking this tightrope of like,
it's such a
I
balancing
want to
act,
put it all in, but I don't want to put too much into where now I have too many qualified leads. And now I can't follow up with my leads where it's like I could have closed 30% more of the ones that just literally went to the wayside just because I have so many new ones coming in. Now I'm just spending money. It's like,
you literally describe what I've been going through. Like the fact, I'm like, I have too many leads now that are coming in and I'm not taking advantage of all, I'm just taking the hot ones and then leaving like
we're doing the same thing right now. We're trying to, we just change
And
our
raise
marketing.
prices, dude.
Huh?
Raise prices will
Yeah,
automatically do it.
Yeah.
That'll help. Okay, and that was the other thing that I just talked about yesterday with Eric. Was we might another way we might add a little friction just to make it even more qualified leads, because right now our lead forms are pretty simple. It's name, first name, I think either phone number or email. You just need one of those, and then
residential for flat glass or
for either one. So depending on which landing page you hit, you get on. Actually, our main landing page, you click on either it's auto, commercial, or residential. Like, so well, the checkbox at the bottom, one of those. So you one checkbox, and then you have to fill in the 2 fields. I just want your name and I want your phone number. I just want to be able to contact you. I don't need to know your address yet. I don't need to know any of that. My people will get you there. So now we're thinking about when we're going to add probably a little bit more friction of maybe we'll make them put an address in or something like that, because the person who is going to technically, I guess, waste your time is not going to fill that extra field in. The person that actually really wants the service done is going to type that in and send it in to where it's like, all right, we're going to put a little friction there to see if we can get rid of the ones that necessarily weren't as qualified for the people that are extremely qualified, because they're willing to put the extra fields in there to make sure they send it off.
No, that we literally just did that with one of the campaigns that we're running. We just made the form. We're like, man, we're getting a bunch of bogus leads, so we just made the form literally a lot longer. So if you go through this freaking form, it's going to be a really solid lead,
Yep.
Even though my lead cost might go up, but it's like,
it's high quality.
Yeah, it's high quality leads, So you're going, now I'm closing, 1 out of 5 rather than 1 out of 10, I'm paying a little bit more for it, but they're like super qualified leads,
You might be paying more, but time saved from your inside salespeople, though. I mean, time is money.
And outside too, right?
Yeah.
Like that's where like the AI thing is really intriguing to me, because if it is so good that you almost can't even tell it's a person, and it does most of the pre-qualifying.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good. Like,
that's going to be huge, because I've gone on stuff recently because we have so much volume where it's like, damn, it's another apartment, like with one window, like, and it's like
$30 a square foot.
But it's like you get a handful of those.
Like for me, we qualify at the phone. I'm like, I let them our qualifying question is like, okay, is it 1 window or is it more than 5? That way, do I know if it's a minimum?
They ask those questions. The apartment ones, I think this happened more recently, that it happened a couple times in a row where I'm like, I even called inside sales and was like, hey, We need to know if they own the home or they're renting. Because there's even been a couple of homes that were renters, where it's like, and a couple of them have done it. A couple of them have been, but for the most part, that's
but if you know it's 1 to 3 windows, if anything, I would say
the
you need
close
to
ratio on that's got to be 50% worse. At
yeah,
least.
but the
At
ones that you're
least.
landing, though, the profitability on those jobs is better than almost all your jobs. If you're charging $500-600 for 2 windows.
Well, no,
I mean-
a lot of times they don't even want to spend that though, because
Yeah, but
it's-
when they do,
Yeah,
they're about to move out
so-
in 6 months.
That's
Like, they're just
fine.
trying to catch it for this summer.
Agreed, but
they're
what-
like,
but what should happen with those then? Obviously, that means that if it is just an apartment with a couple windows, then you can schedule more leads, more consultations in that day. And then you take it upon yourself to obviously you got to move slightly quicker through that apartment.
Well,
But if they say
yeah.
yes though to
Well-
$30 a square foot, by all means, I'll be there.
I'm
instantly
just
to
saying,
install that
from
film, you know,
anecdotally, I'd have to go back and look at the math on the close rate on those has been bad. But either way, but doing more qualifying like that in
Yeah.
a way that doesn't take up people's time.
yeah, without being rude,
Yeah.
or at least without
That's why
coming
it-
off as being rude.
That's
It's
why
like-
the AI needs to work really, really good before you implement it. Because if it's
No, for me-
if it's a really shitty bot, like it's just pissing people off.
Yeah.
No, thank you. You're not good enough.
Yeah. But
What got you in? Because you said your uncle has been in the industry for 30 years. So what drew you into the tin industry?
so he was kind of ready to, he got cancer and he was kind of ready to retire, try to start in the business. I was a GC actually. I had a jiu-jitsu school and I was a GC. So I had a contractor background. I've only been tinting for 4 years, you know?
Yeah.
But I've done like every job that an installer doesn't want to do because he's doing it. The sketches job, you know, I'm the guy, you know? So
That's a good thing, though.
That's what we did
pushed
forever.
you. That pushed
Yeah,
you so
dude.
much further forward in your knowledge of the industry
Yeah,
than the people that only want the easy cake jobs. Like that was the one benefit of us growing up in the shop is that we'd watch our dad do the sketchy job, and then when it got to a point where I don't want to see my dad on top of a 20-foot ladder, like reaching above his head and his stomach is pushing him off the wall. I'm like, I'll do it. Like I already know I'm not comfortable with it, but it's just like, I'll get it done. And it's like, that's the one thing we kind of picked up from him was just like, the job's got to get done.
yeah.
Like,
And it
like it or
definitely,
not.
yeah, like leading like that, like for me, like, cause the installers know, like if they're not gonna do it, I'll do it, you know, like whatever, you don't want to do it, I'll go do it, you know, just let me know if you're not comfortable. I'm not gonna force you to do it.
Yep.
You know?
Same thing.
You know, I'll go do it. You know, sometimes I'm like, bro, I'm not gonna. It's not your company. You know, I don't expect you to risk your life. You know, like, some things I've done are pretty sketchy. You know, but it has to be done. You know, like whatever. You know,
You were talking about
I'll give them a price. I'm like, if they pay my price, I'll do it. You know.
You were talking about a skylight project you're doing earlier. We did one like a year and a half ago.
Yeah, we did some stupid shit.
a year and a half, 2 years,
Dude.
where it was a giant skylight on a big giant home in a really nice neighborhood out here. And it was, the windows were so big and sloped up against each other. We had to put little giant ladders on each side of it and get a bunch of 2x6s. But they were
2x4s by 20 foot.
Yeah, and
Like we
literally-
stacked 7 of them
we
together,
screwed them together.
and made our own plank, and then just shimmied out and did it. And to where, I mean, if OSHA came by, they might have had some questions.
I'm harnessed off at least. You know.
dude,
Yeah, we've done some stupid shit.
Yeah, that one was pretty sketchy. And the worst part about it is it's like a 4-story home, and this is like above
No,
this.
it was a 2-story home.
No,
but
there
she
was at
had-
least 3.
She had. Let me finish. She had a basement.
Yeah.
Okay.
But and
and
it was
this
like
was
over,
straight down to the ground.
yeah,
for
like
where-
by the stairs. It was like, man, if anybody falls through this, they're cooked.
Yeah, well, I think the sketches I did was at a mall. We were doing the A-frame skylights. You know the A-frames.
Is that the one that cracked? Window got cracked
Yeah,
on.
so actually that exact same section, there was a section we couldn't reach to with the boom lift or with our, because the way we do those is we put, get our little giants, we brace a 2x4 and we go from frame to frame, and that's how we get up and down, you know?
Yeah.
So there was a section where we couldn't reach with the boom lift or with the ladder, and it was in the middle. So what I did is I got, I don't know if you guys seen those things that you can hang a ladder from the roof.
Yeah, the little string thingies.
No, the hooks. There's hooks. You hook it to the peak of the roof, and then you could hang a ladder. So what I did is in the A-frame, I put 2 hooks. I hung a ladder, and on this side, I ran up my ladder, and I put a plank in between. You know those, on the little giants, those attachments you put a plank.
Yeah.
So I put one over here, and I ran a plank going across, and that one was for sure sketches when I've done. Yeah,
That was like similar to what we did with
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah, we could reach majority of the windows, but it was the middle section that was the problem, because I think the middle section, each window at its peak or its point was about 78 inches. So getting to the middle was like we could reach about 4 feet out, and then it started getting kind of like, all right,
And it was
laying on
removed.
glass now.
It was remove and replace. And when we removed it, the silicone all around the edges was nasty. So we literally like scraped a lot of that off and then resealed all the edges with Dow. Like it was.
yeah. But man,
it was a
projects
pain
like
in the
that,
ass.
those projects are the ones that make you, man. You know, like after doing that, I'll do anything. You know,
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
we've been on top of a skyscraper Little Giant, full A-frame, so 22 feet in the air with a platform off the Little Giant on each side, standing on top of it, installing a half moon in someone's house. That was probably one of the sketchiest ones, where it's like when we got done with that, I was like, all right, we could not do this
Yeah,
ever
we're like
again.
tippy toeing to get to the corner.
yeah. And then sometimes like it's not that hard, and then now it's time to do it. You're like, okay, it's a lot harder than I thought it was gonna be. You know.
Messing with those customers is the funnest though, because they'll walk in and they'll see you and they'll be like, oh, and I just look over, you got good insurance, right? And they're like, what? I'm like, I'm joking. We have insurance. You're fine. If you want, it's like, oh, I'm just going to go in the other room. I'm like, okay, just I'll go do my thing. That was probably one of the biggest things we kind of lucked out on with the sub that we have coming out, has been coming out from California, is like 2 of the jobs I sent him on. I didn't even realize I knew it was like tilt up ladder and stuff. But he came back. He's like, oh, dude, man, like I had to get on top of the ledge and like leaned in, like the customer was coming in. And I was like, no, nothing against my guys, but they're just younger and they haven't had to go through those jobs. He's 20 years in the industry. So he's done all of the unfortunate sketchy stuff, and he's been on top of boom lifts and stuff like that. So we're like doing a job like that to him, he's just like, job's got to get done. And I was just like, dude, do you want a job? You want to move to Vegas? And he's like, I don't think the wife's going to go for that. I was like, just let her know it's an option, because having someone like that on staff or having a sub like that
you
is
just know you
invaluable.
can send them to anything.
Anything.
Yeah. There's jobs where like, man, I have to be there. You know, like even though I got my good guys there, I just got to make sure, you know, it gets done right, because I'm the one eating the cost. You know, or you know.
Right. I take the same approach. My dad used to be a little bit more harder on the guys and would like poke fun at them, like, oh, you know, you're not going to get up there. And it's like, it's not, hey, like you said, it's not their business. Like if it's something that makes them not uncomfortable, and they want someone holding their ladder, like I've got zero problem with it. And like, I've told all of my installers, if you do not feel comfortable doing it, just let me know. I'm not going to have you do something you're not comfortable with. Like I'll come out and do the job, or Armando will, or Josh will, like we'll come get the job done if you truly feel uncomfortable, or if you don't want to tilt up by yourself. Like to me, if you're on tile, you should always have a second person there to hold the ladder. It's just, there's no reason to risk it. Carpet, you should be fine. Like I'll tilt up on carpet and I'm not worried about it. As long as it's at a good angle, I'm not worried about it. But on tile though, me, myself, like I want that second person with me. I want them holding the ladder. Like I don't never have my ladder slip at all ever, but I don't want to find that out while I'm doing it 14 feet
You're
in the air.
sliding down the wall.
And break the whole wall on the way down. You know.
Oh no, we had one guy that came in.
Oh yeah, he
6
did.
months.
He did take a
and
ride.
what made me upset was that he pressured one of my guys to pretty much just tell a story that didn't happen, talking about how he was holding the ladder. He scrapped a window. He was only probably about 13 or 14 feet up. It's just Little Giant tilted up, and he scrapped a piece. And he told the other guy to go get a piece for him. And he's like, "You want to come down?" He's like, "No, I'll be fine." So he left holding the ladder, went to go get the piece, slid down the wall. Thankfully, didn't get hurt. That was the biggest thing. No one got hurt.
There's a little bit of paint damage that we had to fix.
Yeah, I had to go paint a wall.
Yeah.
I had to go paint a wall. So, which the customer was cool. Like, thankfully, like anytime we've had any kind of incident on a job, either a broken window or anything like that, usually we get extremely lucky with a really down to earth customer, and that we're upfront with them to begin with. If anything does happen, and they're like, "Hey, man, shit happens. You're cool." To where, he slid down this entire wall, and then he fabricated this whole story about how the ladder was being held, and then I forgot what they explained what happened. And then later on, eventually, when it didn't work out, he stepped away from the company. Then our other guy ended up telling us what really happened. And it was like, no, he was up there by himself. He told me to go get a piece. And then as soon as I walked away, it slid down the entire wall. And I was like, I had a feeling that's what happened. And I'm just happy that no one got hurt. Like, it's not, tile jobs is not worth it not to have someone holding your ladder, because
we don't do too much tile. I mean, hardwood floors all the time, you know.
But see, that would even make me sketch too. I would want someone at my.
Well, the little giant, yeah, but the actual tilt up, the feet on that thing, it doesn't slide.
I rarely brace against on the inside. I rarely have to brace. You guys brace against the wall?
What do you mean?
We just A-frame it, no?
It's I mean,
there's a lot of times with A-frame, but sometimes you can't. Sometimes it's so high up.
Yeah, if the bottom edge of the window.
Horns? You guys use horns, or you guys just use the ladder? You guys don't put the horns?
Well, the standoff, the walls. We have that for our tilt up, and for we have like 3 of those for the little giants. Like that makes it like
in that scenario that had that on there.
Yeah,
and
no, I didn't. They didn't put it on there. No, I didn't. No, believe me, I painted the wall. I saw saw the tracks of the ladder going down the wall. I did not.
I think as it slid, the ladder still hit.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Telling you right now, they didn't. That was another reason why it happened. Is they didn't use it. Believe me. I'm thankful. Like I said, that customer was cool as hell. I went out and painted his wall for him, and then I took care of an extra window for him, and he was cool. Like I told him, hey, because I knew there was one window that he wanted to get done extra, and I was like, I'll just take care of it for you. Yeah. He's like, you don't have to. I'm like, I know I don't have to, but I want to. You know, if I'm going to be out here already, I have to take more time out of your day. Like you just had your wall painted. Like I want to take care of this for you. And he was cool about it. You know, it's majority of the customers you don't have a problem with. Like you'll have your outlier every once in a while.
That's the main thing. Like once you like in the beginning, how to introduce yourself, talk to them a little bit. Like even if you do mess up, you know, there's so much more cool about it. You know, because it happens. People are gonna mess up. You know, but like when you build a relationship off the back. It's like, oh, don't worry about it, man. You know, like it's you set the tone in the beginning. It's when you do make mistakes, you know, it's not a big deal. You know?
Yeah. As soon as you reassure them, you're going to take care of it, and it's like, almost those customers almost always become customers that give you referral work, and they end up being repeat business. Like, okay, cool. Yeah. Like,
no, we've
it happened, but they took care of it immediately.
Like unfortunately, one of my guys fried a dash or at least electrical component in a GTR. I think it was a 21 or 22, something like that. And, you know, thankfully the key still turned the car on. Just the remote start, the remote wouldn't work. So we got lucky in that. Called the customer as soon as it happened. Told them to take it to the dealership. Whatever it is, obviously we're going to take care of it. But then I ended up finding out what ended up really happening was we took the proper procedure to tint the windshield. I mean, soak rope, cover the dash, tint the windshield. There was a piece of lint in the bottom left corner. So my installer pulled it back, went to clear it out, didn't reapply anything to catch the water when he did that. So that was like a first time occurrence to where like after that instantly went into my auto SOPs is that if you are doing anything to a windshield, there better be a soak rope and a microfiber laid down. And it doesn't matter if it's a glare strip. If you do not do that process and something breaks, they all know shop's not paying for it. You're paying for it because you skipped an SOP. Now, if you did those things and it still broke somehow, I got it. I'm not worried about it. As long as you did what we ask of you to take as much precaution as humanly possible. If you're trying to get something through real quick, I'm not paying for it anymore because we've already had the problem. It ended up costing us about $2,200 to get the unit replaced. It was back ordered, which, like I said, thank God his car still started because if it didn't, we would have to get a rental car for him for a month, which that would have, at that point, I probably would have just submitted it to our insurance. So it was just one of those things. He went and got fixed. And then how I called and talked to the guy and let him know, like, hey, we got you covered. And he was like, dude, I appreciate it. Like, hey, man, shit happens. He ended up scheduling his wife's car. We did his wife's car, I think, like a week after that happened. We did her entire car. I know he's referred work to me past that to where, it cost me a nice chunk to begin with. But I also know the referrals I've gotten from him and the extra work I've gotten from him too. Like, it'll pay itself off eventually. I'm not worried about it. Yeah. As long as you take care of those customers, they're fine.
Yeah.
So jiu-jitsu, man. How long you been training?
Training for 16 years now?
Oh, wow.
Black belt.
Yeah, okay, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
If you would have said no to that, I'd have you been training?
Yeah.
You competed a lot?
I did compete a lot. In black belt only a couple times coming up. I fought MMA too for a little bit.
Oh, cool.
Then I blew out my knee, and that's what kind of ended me. So, I've been training. Started when I was like 19 years old. But it's really like I still teach a couple times a week. Nice. I had my school that opened it up. I actually got my black belt at the grand opening of my gym, which is cool. And then I sold I partnered up with my professor, so then sold off, and then used that money to kind of just roll into this business. So that's how that all ended. It's just, but I'll open up another school soon. It's just a matter of timing.
That's how we came across our flat glass manager. Because
Yeah.
in 2020, he was training with one of his buddies at his academy, and then he asked around anyone pretty much looking for work, and we stumbled across Armando. And like when he brought him to me or told me about him, he's like, he's a black belt, which instantly in my mind I was like, all right, so he knows what hard work is. That's a big check, and he knows what discipline is. Like,
Yeah, I mean, dude, like black belt's like it's like a mindset, man. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Mhm.
like more than just like, all right, you know how to do these techniques. It's
Yeah.
like literally, like I use like that mentality. It goes across the business. It goes everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, with me, like it's caked into. You know,
Yeah.
it's just
You
part-
can't master it,
Huh?
but you can always fine tweak it and get better.
Yeah.
And like if you apply that mindset to everything else in life, you're gonna crush.
Yeah, like jiu-jitsu is like never ending, you know? Like I've been trained for 16 years and I'm still learning new stuff every freaking day, you know? It's crazy, you know? So it's a never ending journey, you know? So and then like when I got my like there's guys I remember when I got my black belt, I'm like, all right, now I'm going up against guys who've been black belts longer than I've been training, you know?
Yeah.
So like, man,
Yeah.
welcome back to the kiddie pool.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it's kind of like you reset, you know? You're like,
Yeah.
man, all right, I'm like a white belt again, you know? Because
Yeah.
I'm just over here with my brand new black belt. These guys been black belts for freaking 15 years already, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's definitely humbling. And, you know, that's jiu-jitsu is just, yeah, I can't say enough about it.
No, that's amazing, man. All three of my older kids have trained at some point. My youngest daughter trained for like about 3 years, competed like crazy. She ended up going back to softball. It made her better at that, right? Like there's just confidence level in everything
Yeah, like,
because
dude,
of it.
Yeah, like I would teach, I taught kids for what, 10 years, you know? So like, it's just crazy to see how much it changes the kids, you know? Like when
Yeah.
they come in, shy little kids, and then like, 6 months go by and you can't keep them quiet, you know? Like they get so much confidence. It's crazy. Like I've seen what it does to like kids. It's really, even for me, you know, I'm a small dude, you know, like before, that's one of the reasons I started training. It's like, man, I don't want to get punked around or beat up, you know?
Yeah.
And then I started training. Now, like, I don't look for fights, you know? But
Yeah.
if you want to try me, you know, let's
Yeah.
run it, you know?
Dude, that's the crazy thing to me. So I mean, I haven't actively been training very much the last year and a half, 2 years. But I started 7 years ago.
Was it
I
2018?
should be a purple belt at this point.
Oh, nice.
I've been a 4-stripe blue belt for 3 years
Yeah,
now.
that's where you get stuck. You just have the blue belts.
Well, my kids have just like, I've got 3 kids in high school, a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. And like, of all the things that I've been able to like not keep up with, it's been that, because I was training 2-3 nights a week, but like with working on the business, me still trying to run a little bit here and there. And that's just been the thing I haven't been able to go do, especially when we went to run a 100-mile race. I kind of had to drop training altogether to just focus on running to try to get my volume high, because I would always end up having issues with my calves after training. I think I played a little too much half guard. So it's like, I think I was always just causing, as soon as I stopped training consistently, my calf issues like went away. So I'm like, okay, I want to keep running. My older daughter's like little track star, so I try to train and run with her as much as possible. So that's just been like the thing that's fallen off. But I'm still obsessed with it. I still watch videos all the time. Because of all my kids have trained, my 15-year-old son, he trained a little bit too. I'll constantly mess with him in the living room. Like I'll just grab a hold of him. He's like, oh no. And like, just kind of work through stuff of like, try to get him to make the right reaction and wrestle with him in the living room. But I've been like 2 times in the last year to actually like a real training session. One of them was Valentine's at Armando's gym. He had like a couples thing because his wife trains too. And it was like, bring your wife in. And that wasn't like a real training session, but he had a class that started right after it. And one of our old installers who trains with him now was there with his girl, and he was staying for the class afterwards. And I was like, all right, we got to get one round in real quick. So I got like one real round in where he got a lot better, because I enrolled with him in like 2 years, and like he was able to like defend me off enough to where I couldn't like finish him. But there was no clock going because the power just went out. And like 12, 15 minutes in, like I went to get his back, and I think I went for a submission and lost it. And he like all of a sudden ended up on top of me, and he's probably 40 pounds bigger than me, and he was doing a really good job applying pressure. And I was like, okay, we're done.
No, I was like, now my game is so like, I call it old man jiu-jitsu, you know?
Yeah.
Like old, just pressure passing.
Yeah.
Like, take my time. When I'm training down, I take side control, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I'm like kind of lazy jiu-jitsu, but that's the reason that I still teach, because if I didn't teach, I wouldn't be training, because of my, it's like same thing, running the business. I have a little daughter, and I wouldn't be able to make time for it. And so by teaching, it forces me to kind of at least be in the environment, get some rounds in here and there. So I can't really see my life without it,
And now I have to actually start training. I trained for a little bit for about 6 to 8 months stint back in, when were you in the military?
06 to 12, so
probably 2011 then. It was towards the tail end of when you were.
Yeah, because I had already been to combatives.
Yeah, and Armando, I started training. So 2010, because that's when Armando started training, and then he got his black belt in 2020, didn't he? Took him about 10 years?
Something like that.
It was around that timeline. So I trained for a little bit, and then I've gotten in the running bug. Like I do ultra marathons. I'm trying to go after Western states to where I have to run a qualifier every year, to where like my legs, I use it as an excuse not to train jiu-jitsu, just because if something happens to my legs, then like it could set me back a couple of years in running, especially long distance. So, but about 3 weeks ago, finally I have a 6-year-old, and I've been wanting to get him into sports, and like I wanted to get him into individual sport to begin with. I don't want to put him in team sports to begin with, because it's hard enough for him to understand just training in general and anything, let alone put him into a team sport and make him realize like, oh no, you guys are a team, work together. No, I want you to start off in a single sport where you're only as good as how hard you're going to train and how much you're going to pay attention. And then I'll introduce team sports to him later on. Like, all right, now that same type of training, still do it. Now you have to work together with people to win. So, but I just put him in, and I told him like, I'm going to have to start training now. I even told Armando that, because if he stays on this path, in about 6-7 years, if I've done nothing, he's going to be kicking my ass, like without a doubt. So,
dude, I've had kids that are freaking monsters.
Oh, yeah. So that's where it's like, I even told my son, like, daddy's got to start training now, because by the time you're like 13, if daddy's not training, you'll be able to whip my butt. And he's like laughing, and I'm like, I'm going to whip your butt. I'm like, well,
some of those kids are
if I have something to say about it.
Kids are savages, man. That's why, like, especially my younger daughter, she decided to wrestle in high school this year. And she stopped playing softball because she got the bug to grapple again. And she did good in wrestling. And now she wants to wrestle like full time.
Like now it's normal to see like, dude, some of these kids coming up, like Mika Gawa and stuff like that. This guy is freaking at 17 years old, just manhandling men, dude. It's freaking.
It was so cool. The gym that I started at is a buddy of mine that I've known since elementary school. Just happened to be, that's why I decided to go there and take my kids there. When we started going there pre-COVID, Mikey Musameshi was there every night.
Oh, Mikey Musameshi.
Yeah, and like now the wrestling coach that my daughter goes to outside of high school, that's who's in Mikey's corner at all of his one championship matches. And I think the last UFC one, he wasn't in his corner. Actually, I watched the last UFC fight at his gym. He had not the last, but the last one I watched. It was the Jones Stipe fight.
Okay.
And I think that same weekend was Mikey's first UFC fight pass.
On the fight
pass, because he went from one to
he doesn't do IBJJF anymore.
Yeah, but he's out here.
He's on. I thought he was on ONE FC. No,
he left ONE FC to UFC. That was his first. That was when they made the announcement. Was that Jones Stipe fight that he was moving to the UFC?
Yeah, jiu-jitsu is like back in my day, like jiu-jitsu's gone such a long way. Now, like I remember the friggin' like ADCC used to be so small and like a little gym auditorium. Now it's freaking stadiums, man. The sports, like you can actually make a living in jiu-jitsu nowadays. Before, not so much, but like this next generation coming up is insane, man, because it's the first generation that they've been training since they were kids, So now you're seeing like the full freaking thing.
Yeah, there's kids at our gym that when I was still training on the regular, and they're like doing really good in high school wrestling now, but like one boy in particular, that he was like 14, and I would help coach kids class, and I would get to like roll with him. And I think he started coming to the adult class too. And I've rolled with him a couple of times when he like made that transition. And I would have to like really try to not have
there's
him
kids
get me,
I have kids that top out adults on a regular basis, And it's kind of humbling when you come in for a trial class and I put you with the kid and the kid beats you up,
Yeah.
So, but
but that's a cool thing about it. That's, I think, why it's so powerful. Like, if you come in and you stay consistent 2-3 days a week for like 6 months, you go from like everybody in the gym just being able to completely wreck you and you have no chance, to somebody new comes in 6 months later and you can kind of do that to them. So like the learning curve is really steep at first.
I mean, everybody has different, like there's different learning curves for everybody. Some people learn faster than others, some are slower. But I mean, like if you train jiu-jitsu for 1 month, you're so much more advanced to the person that hasn't done any jiu-jitsu at all,
Exactly.
you know? Like it's crazy what one month of jiu-jitsu could do,
Yeah.
you know? So you just have like that 1 month, it's such a big advantage with somebody who's never trained at all, you know?
So I got lucky when I started like officially training at a real jiu-jitsu gym. I had already done the Army Combatives program level 1 and 2, which is all jiu-jitsu. So that gave me the bug. That was what kind of got him to start training. So when I'd come back home, we would like grapple.
I put him to sleep once. And
so that was
I
like,
let him live it down since. And he's like, let's jump on the mats now. I'm like, no, I know I'll lose now. That's why I'm not going to. I'm good.
Yeah, my little brother, he's a big boy, you know? He's like, what? He at his biggest, he was like 280 or something like that, you know? But, and I'm smaller than him, obviously. I'm like a $150, $160, what, you know? But I always, he's a purple belt now, you know? But I always tell him, I don't care how big you get, you know? I'll still be able to wipe the floor with you.
There's no catching up on that.
Anytime you want to test the water, it's come through, you know?
It's just, it's what, to me, what I kind of like comparing it to is like video games. You know, a video game where like as you explore more, the map opens up on what options are available. And it's like the longer you train, the more you can already see the map and you like know what the next move is and you're setting the person up basically. Like I know what the counter is to the counter that you just learned in class today that you haven't learned yet. Like I can see more of the map.
It's like counters to a counter to a counter to a counter to a counter, you know?
Nonstop.
It's like I'm like 6 steps ahead, you know. I'm putting my hand here, so you think I'm going here, but I'm only going here. But I'm not, you know.
And the littlest change, like how'd you grip? Like that one change in the grip is gonna make the difference of whether or not it works. So that's why I like applying it also to like training tinting and like try to hone that in when I'm trying to teach somebody. Like, okay, I'm explaining it. Like even when someone's teaching a jiu-jitsu move in class, they'll explain it. Everybody will break. They'll see a couple people do it. Oh wait, I forgot to explain this one step. Bring everybody back in. Hey, I forgot to mention this grip. Like it happens all the time.
No, for sure.
No, I had to tell my installers when I started training them in auto and in flat. It's like when I'm telling you to do something, do what I'm telling you to do. And now if you see me installing because I have to install because I'm trying to catch something up or I'm on a job and I'm just trying to get square footage done at the moment, do what I say, don't do what I do. Don't look at what I'm doing and thinking that you can mirror what I'm doing right now. Like it's taken me 20 years to get to the point where you can look at me and be like, you just skipped like 3 or 4 steps you told me I had to do. And it's like, yes, because I understand how I'm going to counter skipping those and make it to where I still have the same quality install. I can't teach you that way to begin with. You need to get really good at the basics, and then I will show you how to slowly start peeling away some of the time-consuming steps that aren't necessary later on, because you can address a window. You walk up to a vinyl window, you know you don't have to worry about too much about contamination because it's a brand new house. There's certain things you don't have to necessarily worry about, but I'm still want to teach you as if this is going to be the worst window possible. So,
but like doing speed, like it's an art, bro. Like tinting, like you have to, like the way I hold my sprayers, you know, like it looks like I'm just doing whatever, but you know, the way I hold my knife, how I angle it slightly on a frame, like it's all little things that you don't notice, but I've trained my body to do it, you know, and then it looks like I'm just doing whatever, but everything I'm doing is like a particular precise way, you know, you know, so to somebody's naked eye, oh yeah, these guys just throwing up the thing, you know,
you squeegee it on there. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm just squeegeeing it on there. It's that's why I've enjoyed about starting to train, get more and more into training, and actually now I'm opening up the academy and everything it is making me realize kind of all the small stuff I was already doing and not realizing. Like it's just like, oh yeah, just put your knife here, cut here. And it's like beyond that, it's like, no, see my back finger is pushing my film. And that's why my hand's not over here holding the film down, because I'm already doing it with one hand. But I want you to do it with 2 to begin with, so you understand the concept of what we're doing here. And then eventually you'll get to the point where you'll be holding your knife and you'll be comfortable doing it that way. But don't jump ahead of that one step. And it's just like, he broke it down to me kind of the best way. He's like, you got to remember, or, you know, while we're training people, like we've been doing this for so long, you have to go every little intricate thing that you're doing, explain every aspect of it, because it all has a purpose in what we're doing. And it just feels so secondhand and like second nature to us. Like it's, you know, just drop roll that. And then people are like, what the hell are you talking about? And it's like, okay, I'll even explain this to you. And then actually show them how to, you know, reverse roll or California roll, whatever people, you know, whatever they want to call it, to show them how to do a window by themselves. And it's like having to go through all those little steps. Like we just did a personal one-on-one in here, and it was our first time taking someone through here. And like after we got done with it, it was like, all right, I know that he got a lot from it. We had a fun time training, but it's like there's so many things like, all right, instead of starting on the commercial window, I'm not going to start on that window now. I'm going to start on the residential one, because the commercial window will lead to too many bad habits when you're pulling out the rubbers, because cutting on a commercial window with rubbers pulled, like you really have to try to screw that up. Like it doesn't matter how straight the cut is.
Yeah.
So you go from that to all of a sudden, all right, now your cut really matters on this residential window. So I'm going to start with that. And then I'm going to pre-mark all the corners to where like, all right, this is where your blade's going to start. This is where it's going to end when it comes to cutting out your corner, to where it'll actually fold in properly. And actually put a visual on the window, because in a customer's house, I'm just going to say, hey, 45-degree angle here. Yeah. If I have in red vinyl, like a point of start to finish of like start your blade here, pull your tint up, and then cut at this angle, you have that visual aid right in front of you to where it can start building that muscle memory, to where it's like I don't have to sit there and repeat myself saying, hey, no, like this, not like that. Like this, not like that. If it's already visually there and I can explain to them, all right, this line is here because that's how much film I want cut off the corner. So when we fold that corner in, it drops right into the corner and doesn't have any extra film folded in on itself. And it's like going through that class, I was like, all right, I think I have an even more developed way, I think, of being able to get the information to them quicker and give them a lot more visual cues, because you can say it till you're blue in the face. But with having that visual cue there too, it's even more understanding of like, all right, here's the slanted line. This is how I want to cut. Now just literally follow that line, and it's rinse and repeat on every window. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It's just the height of how far you go up or how far you go down to make sure you're not cutting out too much film.
The depth of the window,
Yeah. So.
Yeah, but that's the other thing that that we've been doing that's really helped with having Armando in there, and the culture that we've created with our guys is that whole like kind of jiu-jitsu mentality. In my mind, even day one as a beginner, you end up teamed up with a training partner, and you might have recognized that the grip was supposed to be one way and not the other. And like you're immediately even new, you're kind of having to help teach the person you're training with, and they're helping teach you. So, and especially once you've been there for
that's
a
like
year,
I always find
like there's always teaching.
There's like new white belts just teaching each other.
Yeah. But it's like that practice of like really trying to pay attention to where you're like, I want to make sure I do a good job for my training partner. They want to make sure they do a good job for me. And if one of us noticed a detail that the other didn't, like our gym has that culture where it's like, feel free to like, in our gym, it was really the higher belts that I would train with would always be asking me, like, they'd be asking me questions. Like, all right, so what's the next thing? Like, so they're like going out of their way to teach as they're training, and everybody's there to help each other.
Yeah, to come up,
and that's how the whole crew is now. So if somebody's newer to the crew, if somebody sees them doing something wrong, it's gonna get called out, and it's gonna, hey, you can do it like this, and everybody's open to it. So now, the same way we're going to get better by the more we train, it's going to help you also get better at installing and recognizing what you're doing and why you're doing it. So I don't know, just that whole culture of like everybody needs to want to grow and learn and not just think that they're the best ever. That's the problem with old heads that have been doing it forever and don't want any advice at all.
Oh yeah, no, and that's the hardest thing about bringing someone in. As they've already been trained. Like we've had people come in, I've been tinting for 7 years. Okay, let me see. And it's like, I'm not going to tell you to do anything until I start noticing the same problem happening again and again. And we had one guy that he kept having the same problem. I was like, dude, wet your window more. You need to wet the tint more. You're not enough water. And then I got fed the line of, well, the guy who trained me said, if you have to use that much water, you don't know what you're talking about. And I got the time, I'd already won WFCT 3 times. And it's like, I'm not trying to say I'm the best, but I know I'm really good at what I'm doing, and that is an utter load of shit that he just told you, because I soak the shit out of my window, and I'm not saying my windows come out 100% perfect because that doesn't exist, but I put up high quality installs every single time, and I can see your problem right now is you're not wetting your window enough. It's grabbing the window too quickly. You're leaving champagning in it because of it. Like you need to wet your window more, and like he wouldn't back off of it. It's just like, okay, man, like I'm like, all I'm saying is try it. And then like maybe you're going to find a happy medium in between, because there are so many different ways to install. I mean, if you go to any of the competitions, you're going to see in the finals, you'll see 8 guys that maybe 2 of them might install similarly. Otherwise, everybody's installing a different way. Like some people are using side factory instead of top factory, which for me, I don't understand why. But I know guys that are side factory installers that have won that competition. And It's like, All right, to each his own. I don't know why you're doing that, why you wouldn't use a top factory, but I know you know what you're doing because I know you're one of the best installers in the industry. So I'm just going to shut up. And then I'm also going to be curious, though, why are you doing that? And then, and then have a conversation with them. I mean,
It's good to know how to do in case you have to.
yeah.
But if I didn't have to, I'm not going to do it.
No,
Yeah, like
makes
the
no sense to me. But, to each his own. Everyone installs differently. And like even when it comes to doing auto, too, auto is the same way. You got people that are two-stage no matter what, and people that bottom load that have to use a big tool. I mean, for me, when I bottom load with just a simple triangle card, and that's it.
Yeah, when it comes to auto, I could tint a car, but it'd take me 3 hours. I'm not.
We've been pretty preachy in the fact of like if we had to start over again, like say someone came by, bought the business, and then I had to go do my own thing, it would just be flat glass.
Yeah.
I wouldn't touch auto.
Dude, I just get so many my marketing is tailored to flat glass organically. We're called window tints, everything. We get so many leads. So I'm like, all right, whatever. We're gonna have 2 cars. Just to take the work.
Well, then also the plus side, and the reason why we haven't even thought about it, it's like, we could try to sell the auto side of our business and just do flat. But at the same time, we get so many leads that furnish from the auto side to where it's like, all right, I'll deal with tinting your car because all of a sudden I get to tell you now that you can tint your house. And then you feel it in your car. And you're like, hold on, you can do this in your house? You're like, yes, we can. When do you want us to come out? We'll measure their house. We end up tinting their entire house to where it is kind of like a match made in heaven between the two. But it's just, there's so much more. There's such a bigger ability for things to go wrong in auto than there is flat glass. I have to handle more customers, which that is changing though, because now I have vehicles that, like we have a car in here today that we're doing a full tint job on, and we're doing full paint protection, color change paint protection on. It's $10,000 car.
Nice.
I couldn't imagine doing that 15 years ago. Like if someone told me like, hey, 15 years from now, you're going to be doing a $10,000 car. I'd be like, you are smoking something. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, the tickets are definitely getting bigger. Yeah. And some shops, they're pumping out, over $1 million in just cars. I'm like, man, my hat's off to them because
it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's volume,
We're over that.
We were like 1.1, 1.2.
Yeah. You guys go through a lot. Are you have higher ticket items or do you go through a lot of volume?
No, we've moved our pricing up. We did the same thing we did in flat glass. We did the same thing in auto. We moved our pricing up.
Tickets like 7 right now.
Yeah, okay. And I mean Tesla is a big part of that. Our number 1 car was a Tesla Y last year.
And it's only because we still get a lot of like people that might just want to just.
What do you charge for like a Y? Full Y?
If they do a roof with it too, probably about $1,300 in ceramic. And then if you go to crystalline, you're looking about $1,600 to $1,700. Yeah. So it just depends.
And Ys were the number 1 car we've done the last 2 years in a row.
Which one?
The
Model Y. It was the 3 before that.
2 Teslas in there right now.
No, there is. We have a 3 and a Y. With the 3, we did a full front end clear bra on, and we tinted the whole car. I believe that one's about $3,800. And then that one, the other one was supposed to be the same thing. And then he called me yesterday and he's like, I want to do black. And I was like, you got it. Gave him a price. We talked for a little bit, and then he said, all right, book it. So now it's a full vehicle. So there's definitely tons of money in the paint protection realm, and even in the tint too. It's gone up, but it's still
flat glass is still more scalable in my mind.
Way more scalable. Yeah. It's just, and then also you can teach installers faster. You'll pick up flat glass much faster.
You kind of cap out with cars. Your shop could only hold how many cars?
Right now we can work on 4 or 5 if we had to. Right now we can work on 4. So if we really wanted to scale auto, we'd have to, which we have a building in the back that we need to put a roof on it, and we'll have an actual 16-foot door to where we can actually get diesels and everything in to where we'll use that for like a wash bay and just for overflow.
No, but but I'm saying your capacity is like 4 cars, but in flat glass, it's like, there's no capacity.
No, how big is your
whole
house?
building?
Yeah. Or commercial buildings.
Yeah.
Commercial buildings is really where it's
at.
Well,
the other option we have too on cars is we could always expand hours too. Like you could add extra crews and
I tell my guys that if you want to come in early before work, I'll tell the salespeople to sell the car and have them drop it off the day before. But just make sure that car's done before 9 o'clock, because that's what we're going to tell the customer. Your car will be ready for pickup in the morning at 9:30. You're going to leave it overnight. And for the most part, they're like, I'm game. I'm like, all right. And then I tell my salespeople too, no old cars. Like it better be a new car. Like no installers coming in the morning for a 1990 or 99 Civic. Like no one wants to do that. You get them a new car, make it beneficial for them. It's beneficial for you because they get a commission off it at the same time. So, but don't screw the installer over with an old dilapidated car. Like we'll do them, but it's like put that in regular business hours, price it accordingly, and just go from there.
I've got to get to a consultation. We got to wrap
I
this
think that's
up.
actually probably a good spot to wrap it up.
Cool.
Well, really appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Definitely one thing we didn't dive into, which I want to, definitely want to have you back on. And then at the same time we do that, I would love to shoot some content with you too.
Yeah, that'd be dope. Yeah, for sure.
Like I said, I scrolled through your page, and the content you're putting out is pretty much about, I mean, we're trying to do the same thing, educational, and then also on the projects, showing people that, hey, this can be done.
Yeah, there's not many people out there for flat glass, because I get so many, like I started getting so many questions. Like I just put out that wooden paints. I had 10 people DM me, what do you do? How do you do a wooden paint? What's your tricks, So
that's what those 2 doors are for.
Yeah. So
we got the one solid wood, and then we got the wood paints next to it.
And then the other cool content that we can make off that is now we can make, which we need to do soon, a really cool video where you show how quickly we can tint that compared to how quickly we can tint that for when you're pricing it.
Yeah.
Right? Like this is how much longer this takes compared to that.
Yeah, for sure. Because people don't know, be like, oh, what do you charge me so much more for this?
Yeah.
Because
let's see, 15 minutes for the left side. The right side, I'm looking about an hour 10.
Yeah.
That could be the reason why.
Yeah,
but,
sure.
But yeah.
Where can people find you, man?
Yeah, where can they find you?
Just on Instagram, Facebook, on all the channels, on Instagram, on Tint Wiz, YouTube, on my window tint everything. I got my channel there. I just do all the shorts. I just push the same TikTok, same thing, Tint Wiz. But yeah.
All right, we appreciate you following along. That's where you can find them. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time, have a good one, guys.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah, man.
That was really fun. Subscribe.